Virtual Grip Network, and the Coast to Coast Racing Networks welcome you to Icon Sim Sports Hometown Heroes live from Volusia Speedway. It's championship night. It's the final week of the season, and also a little bit of a preview of next season that'll be in store for these C2C guys. Welcome aboard. I am Kenny Kibbe. Alongside me in the booth is JR Shepard, and behind the scenes, hitting the cameras, is Mike Yao. We've been at Volusia now for quite a few weeks, but JR, why don't you take us through this track, one of my favorite dirt tracks on the iRacing service, and tell everybody about this place a little bit.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. This is one of my favorite dirt tracks to run on. Gives you a lot of options as a driver. So it's a half-mile D-shaped dirt oval, opened back in 1968 as dirt. Became a paved track back in 1989, actually ran some Xfinity races here, then went back to dirt in 1997, returned to its roots. It is definitely a multi-groove racetrack that's primarily going to be at the bottom early, but as the track wears in, it's going to open up, give drivers more and more options here. Tonight we'll start off with the 305 sprints. Those guys will pretty well be wide open. Then we'll go to the 360s. That's where you're going to have to start watching your throttle control, and then as we progress onto the 410s later, you're definitely going to have to drive with that throttle pedal. So, this track, again, gives you options. It opens up out of turn 2 to that long back straightaway that's curved, gives you a lot of different lines that you can take to get yourself set up going into turn 3 to try to pull that nice slide job, but you have to be very careful because the exit of turn 4 closes up quickly, and that is definitely a place we're going to want to have to watch tonight for guys getting in the wall.
Indeed, 3 cars that all look the same but are very different to drive, and we'll be watching out for that as we progress through all the events tonight. But we start out tonight with the A&J Custom Creations 305 Sprint Series. This is tonight's pre-race show presented by the Pitside Podcast, and we'll take a look we'll talk about the format first of this, and the starts will be on green. Every start will be. The restart, though, the leader can fire anytime after a designated point in turn 4. The leader does not have lane choice. We'll have to keep an eye on that later on. 8-lap heats with the top 4 transferring to the A main, and everyone else goes to the consies. The grid for those heats is the 4 will be inverted from qualifying in each of those. Fixed setups for all of these events tonight. Cautions are turned off in all heats and consies, but they will be on for the features. And the top 24 will make the feature races tonight. And why don't we look at the championship standings, JR, because it's the final week of the season, and at least one of the series that we're covering tonight has a pretty close points battle going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So tonight in the 305s, we actually have Blake Chapman that is leading the way right now with 671 points. Randy Shreves right behind him with 659, so a very tight battle for that top spot. We're going to be watching it throughout this race. Andy Patton right now is currently 3rd. Nick Vickery is 4th. Jeff Flaro is in 5th. Christopher Schaefer is 7th. GJ Boydell is Chris Schaefer is in 6th. GJ Boydell is in 7th. Jeffrey Kemper is in 8th, and Mike Cranmer kind of rounds out our top 10 in the points for tonight. But again, those top 2 spots between Chapman and Shreves, that's the one that we're going to be paying very, very close attention to. Yeah,
that battle could really go either way, and as we prepare for the qualifying session that'll be presented by the ABR Setup Shop, these drivers getting some last ditch efforts in their warm-up and practice sessions. We've raced at the same track for multiple weeks now, but do you think things are going to change now, JR, that it's the last week that these guys are going to be racing here for quite some time, and there's some drivers that have points on the line. They want to gain some positions, and obviously you want to finish as well as you can in the points at the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're going to probably see a little bit of 2 races going on. You're probably going to see the guys racing for points, being smart, but at the same time charging forward, and then you're going to see some of the guys that are not really racing for points. If they ever get around one of those guys that's higher up, Shreves or Chapman, they're probably going to give a lot of room just to not get involved in that championship race. So you're probably going to see several things like that going on tonight. But also, everybody's here to race. Everybody's here to try to win this thing. So it's going to be exciting, and you just got to be careful with who you're racing around.
Indeed you do, and we are about to start that qualifying session. And real quick, I want to touch that there's been a decent amount of parity in this 305 series, and we'll have to keep an eye on that as we go through the events tonight. There's a look at John Hine, one of the first drivers to be out on track for this qualifying session, sporting a new paint scheme this week to support our Ukrainian fellows. But John's been pretty fast in these things. But again, going back to the parity, drivers, since there's not much off-throttle time in these 305 sprints, there's quite a lot of parity because the field is so stacked against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, not a lot of off-throttle time in these cars. The biggest way to lose time in them is to over-rotate and just let the car get away from you going into the corner. That's definitely going to slow you down and increase your lap time, which is not what you want. So we see there John Hine was able to put up a second-place run at the moment.
Yeah, and Jeffrey Barker is up at the top. Never mind, Blake Chapman has taken over P1 at the moment with a 14.912. And going back to him, he is our points leader. So that's a very good start for Blake Chapman. Put it up at the top, and that's going to make it hard for the competition to catch up.
It certainly is, and we see Randy Shreves hasn't gone out on the track yet. He's probably one of these guys that's kind of just observing, seeing what all the lap times are, and we'll see what kind of lap time he can put down.
Well, we'll switch over to our in-race reporter for this week's event, and that's John Hine. John, how's the track feeling out there?
Yeah, it feels racy. It seems that there's a little bit more of a slick line in the track than I'm used to being here, but it's been a few weeks since I've been on this track with these guys, so I think we're going to see some good racing right from the get-go.
Hey, John, just based on what we've seen here in the past, do you expect in these 305s the bottom to be the place to be, or do you think at any point during this race that it's going to start to move up to that middle groove?
I always think it moves up, and you know what, that Blake Chapman always seems to get that bottom to work no matter how everybody else up top. I think, you know what, if you can get it, you can make it work down there. I think you can choose your lane up top or the bottom. It's all going to come down to how you enter the corner and what kind of throttle control you have.
Well, John, it looks like you're qualified P3 tonight. That's a good start for you. Hopefully you can take advantage of that track position. Yeah,
I don't know what happened there with everybody else. I shouldn't be that high up here. I'm not all that great in these cars, but you know what? I'm going to just try to get her in the show, and then we'll go from there.
That was our in-race reporter, John Hine, as the 3 minutes has just expired for tonight's qualifying session. We'll get ready for the heats tonight. Heat number 1 presented by the Super Dirt Car Series. And we'll pull up the grid for heat number 1. And it's going to be Nathan Aldrich starting P1. Second place next to him will be Joe Canellis. Third will be Dan McLaren. And fourth will be Blake Chapman. We'll be watching out for him.
Yeah, fifth place will be Carter Jamieson, sixth will be Steve Marrer, and seventh place is Donovan Ross tonight.
This will be the first heat of the night, and these guys will be they'll be paced by the Steve King Foundation Pace Truck. The Steve King Foundation was formed to help the dirt track racing community across the country by providing financial assistance to drivers, pit crew members, racing officials, track operations personnel, or the immediate families of those individuals who suffer serious illness, injury, or death. Check them out at stevekingfoundation.org. So, Blake can kind of control his own destiny here. He's lost a little bit of track position because of the fact that he was the top qualifier. But if he can get a decent finish in his heat, that'll determine a good start for him in the feature. And really, he's the point leader, and again, he controls his own destiny here.
Yeah, he really does. So, at this point, he just needs to have a clean race to get himself in. I'm sure he's going to move up from that fourth starting position unless something weird happens in front of him. But, he just needs to be playing it smart and take each run on the track as it comes.
For sure, we'll have to see if he decides to go aggressive or kind of take his time here and be a little bit methodical. Blake always seems to have a methodical style, and in my opinion anyway, and I feel like he turns up the wick right near the end when it's go time and it's time for payouts, and he seems to surprise even when he seems down and out. So it'll be exciting to watch him here start from fourth place. We got one more pace lap here. But there's some other quick guys in this heat. Joe Canellis, Nathan Aldrich, just two of the guys here on the front row who definitely could go and win this heat and start from the pole in the feature event. So we'll have to watch out for them. But Steve King Foundation Pace Truck wraps around turn 3 and 4. Again, this is an 8-lap heat, and 4 will advance directly into the feature, which will be 24 cars. Green flag is out, and Nathan Aldrich gets on the gas pedal and dives down into turn 1 here, and looks like not the greatest start there by Joe Canellis in second. He's going to lose a couple spots, but then Aldrich slips up and he may lose the lead right away.
Yeah, Dan McLaren with a great run down the back straightaway, dives on the inside of turn 3, takes that top spot away, and following behind him closely is Blake Chapman.
Oh, and a couple of cars out of shape there in the back. That was Carter Jamieson and Steve Maurer. They're kind of falling behind the field now. Donovan Ross has now slipped up into 5th. We're looking from Blake Chapman up ahead to Dan McLaren. Chapman already, after just 2 laps, is 1 spot away from that lead, with a good battle for that final transfer spot in 4th between Ross and Canellis.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys are going to battle hard. They know this is their first shot to get into tonight's race, and it just makes the night a lot easier if you're able to transfer in. You can see them running back there in 3rd and 4th place.
Nice looking blimp view. We can actually see both battles going on, with the 3rd place driver Nathan Aldrich kind of stuck in between in his own little world here. We've passed the halfway mark in this heat race number 1. Again, 2 side-by-side battles, 1 for 1st and 1 for 4th, 3rd and 4th, or 4th and 5th, I should say. But Chapman looking on the high side. We've seen him be so good on the bottom in the past, but he's showing that he can make both lanes work.
Yeah, and this is very interesting. Going to John's point earlier when we talked to him as the in-race reporter, the track looks like it's a little bit different. So even these 305s in this first heat race, that middle groove is really coming in. You see Chapman working it right against the cushion at the moment.
Just identical battles for up in front and then the rear end of these transfer spots, still side by side. Nice clean racing as we come to take the white flag here. Chapman will have the lead at the line. He may be able to clear down into turn 1. He does not. He leaves the bottom open. He's going to have good drive off of turn 2. He's going to fly down into turn 3. He is clear by just a nose. And here comes Dan McLaren on the bottom side, but Chapman's going to rip the top and he will win in a photo finish in heat race number 1. And behind them, Aldrich is in 3rd, and it looks like Canellis will hold on for the final transfer spot. So it's Chapman, McLaren, Aldrich, and Canellis transferring, Jer.
Yep. And having to go to our last chance qualifiers now will be Donovan Ross, Stephen Marr in 6th, and Carter Jamieson in 7th.
That was a pretty exciting first heat. Heat number 2 now, presented by Pet Partners. Tonight on the pole will be Greg Boydell. Starting next to him will be Bob DeGood. Randy Shreves, one of these quicker drivers in the 305s, will start in 3rd, and 4th will be Jeffrey Barker.
Yeah, 5th place will be Zach Navarre, 6th place will be Steven Bixler, and 7th place in this heat race will be Brennan Lacey.
Now again, Randy Shreves, he is our other contestant or guy battling for the championship with Blake Chapman. So if you're Randy Shreves here, you saw Blake Chapman go out and win that heat. Obviously, don't you feel like you're obligated to go out and win your heat as well, JR?
Yeah, it's on your mind. So you know that he's already got the top starting position in the race tonight. So you know that you need to be as close to him as you can in that A main, and the only way you can do that is to finish first in this heat race.
That's for sure. Going to get some points and also good track position. We have one more pace lap to go here, but I want to touch again on the racing line, how the top is actually starting to come in a little bit more than we expected, but it looks like the bottom's still competitive too.
Yeah, it's definitely competitive. I think at this point, it's one of those lines where you have to get as close to that inside wall as you can to still try to get some grip up off the corner and to not let the car over-rotate through the center or apex of the corner. And that's a risky move to do. It's very, very difficult to drive, so we're going to have to see if these guys are willing to take that risk or not.
Indeed we will. Here comes Pace Truck pulling off of the racing surface, and the green flag is out. And Boydell does not get a good jump, and in fact, Bob DeGood flies into the lead on the top side. Ooh, a little bit of contact in the back there from 3rd on back. That was Randy Shreves who actually slipped up into Jeffrey Barker, who's basically wrecked on the back stretch. And Shreves has lost some ground on lap 1. That is not what he was looking for.
Absolutely not. Very bad lap, opening lap for him, and he's battling back, but he's almost getting himself into a bad situation. Almost 3 wide as they go down the back straightaway here.
Obviously looks like he's going to go where other drivers ain't, but it's some tight quarters here between everybody else around him, and that final transfer spot being held by Brennan Lacey at the moment, who he started dead last in this heat, so a good job by him. Now he's sliding up, trying to take third place away from Zach Neubauer as well. These guys are really close as the two leaders try to get away, and you see Randy Shreves there diving underneath Neubauer. That was a nice textbook pass to take fourth away.
Absolutely. He's trying to be methodical here, gets pretty close to Lacey in turns 3 and 4. Gonna have to gather it back up, but yeah, he's trying to be methodical. At the same time, he's just trying to do some damage control.
Side by side behind these guys between Neubauer and Bixler, but Randy Shreves looking at, a little bit more contact there. Neubauer's going to go up towards the wall. I think he's going to keep it straight. He will keep going, and obviously we will stay green, no cautions, but that will spread the field out a little bit here with 2 laps, or coming to get 2 laps to go.
It definitely allows the top 4 to get away. Right now, Bob DeGood's got about 1/3 of a second lead over second place at GJ Boydell, so looking good for him at the moment. You see him moving down to the bottom, down the backstretch to take a different line.
Remember, these first and second place drivers were not necessarily the fastest qualifiers out of this group, so good showing by these two, DeGood and Boydell, 1 and 2, and Lacey's actually gaining ground on them. But we've taken the white flag, and we'll go down into 3 and 4 for the final time. Lacey tries to make an effort for second, but he will not get there. Bob DeGood will win this second heat race, followed by GJ Boydell, Brennan Lacey, and then Randy Shreves. A little bit of an upset here, barely transferring into the A main, finishing 4th.
Yeah, having to go to the B mains tonight to try to get themselves in will be Steven Bixler, Zach Neubauer, and Jeff Barker.
So we'll head over to heat race number 3, presented by World of Sports Podcast. And on the pole for this one will be Jeffrey Kemper, starting next to Jeremy Paulson. And in 3rd place will be Jeff Flarup.
4th place tonight is John Hine. 5th place is Roger Craig. And coming in 6th tonight in this heat will be Mike Kramer.
So this heat is going to be only a 6 driver heat instead of 7. So only 2 drivers from this heat won't transfer. And we'll have to look at that. JR, does that weigh on your mind at all, the size of the field in your heat race?
I think it does for sure a little bit. So, with one less driver in the field, it's just one less guy to worry about. So instead of 3 guys that you have to beat, you only have to worry about 2, and probably gives you a little more options, especially if you're in this back row. You do not have to worry about that additional row, that additional guy trying to make a move on you on these opening laps. You can kind of position yourself and figure out where you need to be to get a run on the guys in front of you.
That's for sure. And the Steve King Foundation Pace Truck will lead these guys around for about a half a lap longer. Jeffrey Kemper will take control of the field here. And again, all these drivers in this little group here, all qualified basically within 2.5 tenths of each other. So just because some driver starts last in this heat does not mean that they don't have speed. So here we go. Green flag is out, and Jeffrey Kemper takes control of the field. And that's a very even start through all 3 rows here. We go down into turn 1 and 2, and remember that high line we talked about possibly prevailing, but these guys are pretty dead even.
Yeah, Kemper's trying to keep it really close on the outside here. He's probably going to have the traction coming off of turn 4. You see him actually pull away, almost clear Kemper going into turn 1.
Yeah, John Hine trying to make the same thing happen here. He might have to slot into 3rd place, side by side behind him. Oh, a little bit of contact there between Roger Craig and I believe that was Jeff Flaro, one of the orange and white cars. So Flaro continues. He's in that final transfer spot, and behind him, Craig is going to have to try to recover. That was actually Mike Kramer, I think, that had the contact there. But regardless, both of those drivers playing chase right now.
Absolutely. You see John Hine making the pass for second. Oh, there's contact between Hine and Kemper.
Yeah, that was very close. These drivers keep it going straight, just like in the previous heats. No real wrecks so far in the heat races tonight. But look at, I I think it's Jeremy. Yeah, Jeremy Paulson up in the lead. He is killing it right now. He's got a huge advantage, at least for standards in the 305s. We do have a wreck on the backstretch there between, I think that was Cranmer and, what was that? Cranmer and Craig, maybe?
I think Craig's been able to continue after that wreck, but he's still 2 seconds back. But he's in that fourth and final transfer spot.
Yes, and Jeremy Paulson now takes the 2 to go signal as he's again got a pretty large lead. We're looking at the closest battle on track right now between Kemper and Hine. Roger Craig is in that final transfer spot, like you said, and we come around to take that white flag, and looks pretty well decided as far as the transfer spot. We'll see if John Hine can nab one more spot in this heat, which will give him some better track position in the feature. He'll dive down low, try to do a slide job, an aggressive one. He makes it happen. A little bit of contact there, but he's able to make the pass happen. So Jeremy Paulson with a dominating win there, followed by John Hine, Jeffrey Kemper, and Roger Craig ends up the final transfer spot.
Yep, having to go to a B main tonight will be actually be Cranmer and Roger Craig.
I think it's actually Cranmer and Flaro.
Yep. My mistake.
Yeah, and Flaro actually was the other driver that was involved in that wreck. He just exited out. He towed away before I was able to catch it. Anyway, we head over to heat race number 4, presented by Mar Farm Management. On pole, we have Gary Taylor. And starting next in will be Nicholas Schell. Andy Patton will be in the 3rd position. JR?
Yeah, 4th place tonight is Nick Vickery. 5th place is Chris Schaefer. And rounding out the field in this heat race is John Rayner Jr. in 6th position.
Now, one thing we've seen, JR, we don't have title contenders in these heats. We saw them in the 1st and 2nd heat, but it really looks like throughout the events tonight, the rest of the field is not really going to give a free pass to those drivers, Chapman and Shreves, trying to battle for this championship.
Yeah, a little bit surprised by that, but you're exactly right. And again, we said it earlier, these guys are here to race and try to win the race themselves. So that's in their mind first and foremost. Second would be to try to not get involved in the point standings. But sometimes, as a racer, Kenny, you want to go forward. You want to get the best position that you can or best finish that you can. And sometimes, you get in the mix of that championship.
Yeah, I mean, that is a definite point there. And I think from a driver's seat, if I'm a seasoned veteran and I've been in this league for a long time, I think I'm racing the same way I would any week. If I'm like a rookie or somebody who hasn't been here every single week, I might be kind of pulling the reins back a little bit here. But I digress, as we are about to get this heat race number 4 set off here, the final heat race of this 305 Sprint Series event. And there we go, Gary Taylor with a good jump, probably the best jump that we've seen a leader get. But diving out underneath him is that Air Force car of Nicholas Schell there in the, or actually no, that's Andy Patton, I'm sorry. And he's looking down, an aggressive slide job that doesn't work for either of them as they wreck in turn 3 and 4. They'll take both of them out of contention.
Absolutely will. That's big change in this race. Opening lap, so now we have the top 4 that are just running by themselves. So kind of a free race at the moment, as long as they don't wreck. And you see up front, Schell is continuing to lead this race.
Yeah, it's definitely a close battle between these 3, though. It'll be interesting to see how aggressive these guys want to be to try to get a little more track position for the start of the feature tonight. And Vickery now looking underneath of the 23 car of Chris Schaefer. Ooh, near contact. There is contact down the backstretch, and these guys are locked together, and they will wreck, and that's going to totally put Andy Patton back up into a transfer spot.
There's a lot going on in this race, Kenny. A lot of different things happening, and you actually see Nick Vickery getting passed for 4th place at the moment. He's going to have to go chase that back down if he wants to transfer.
I think he's wounded, JR. I'm not sure he's got a car that's able to chase that down. You see he's got the front winglets there are torn off of that car, so it's definitely wounded. We've got 3 laps to go in this race now. Field is totally spread out, and now the final spot is held by Gary Taylor. So all of a sudden, Gary Taylor and Andy Patton, who wrecked on the first lap, are now back into transfer positions.
Yep, just a lot of weird stuff going on here, but you're exactly right with Nick Vickery. He has that front wing missing, so his car is going to push extremely bad going into the corners, even though we're not into the higher speed sprints here. But yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to get that fourth place back and be able to transfer in or not. You see him continuing to try to work over Taylor here, though.
Well, this is the final lap, and Nicholas Schell has a huge lead, about a full half a turn. He will win this final heat. John Rayner will get second. Andy Patton will get third. Here is the battle for fourth. It's Nick Vickery. Well, there's a look at Nicholas Schell won. Yeah, Nick Vickery, he didn't really have much of a battle there at the end. He did a good job soldiering on with a wounded car, but it ends up being Gary Taylor who nabs that final transfer spot with two having to go to the C main, or B main, excuse me.
Yep, absolutely. Nick Vickery is going to have to work his way through that B main to try to transfer tonight, along with Chris Schaefer.
And Chris Schaefer ended up not even continuing after that wreck. He pulled her into the pits immediately. So we have the B main now presented by Chip Bangers Racing, and this is what it'll look like. 8 of these drivers will advance, so 2 will go home. Starting out is Donovan Ross on pole. Starting next to him is Steven Bixler. Row 2 filled by Mike Cranmer and Nicholas Vickery. Steve Maurer will start in 5th, and 6th place will be Zach Neubauer.
7th place will be Jeff Flaro. 8th is Chris Schaefer. 9th place is Carter Jamison. And 10th will be Jeff Barker in this B main race.
There's quite a few drivers in here, JR, that are quite fast and quite capable to really could have won their heats. I'm looking at guys like Nick Vickery, Jeff Flaro. Donovan Ross has been quite competitive in recent weeks. There's drivers that kind of just had bad, unfortunate events happen in their heats that has put them in this position.
Yeah, a lot of guys having a lot happen to them during their heat races. Definitely have the speed, and they're able to try to work their way back up and try to transfer in. But they only have 10 laps here. Can you try to get it done?
That is for sure. They only have 10 laps, and 8 of the drivers will make the feature. 2 will go home. And 1 more pace lap here. But it seems like the heats have kind of gotten more and more aggressive as we've gone on. It seemed like we were slightly tame and then kind of ramped up there to a pretty chaotic final heat race. We'll see what the B main has in store. Here we go out of turn 4. And the Steve King Foundation pace truck pulls off, and Donovan Ross takes the lead down into turn number 1. And he's unable to clear, and he's going to maybe get freight trained here. We'll see if that top lane completely passes him.
Yeah, for sure. Bixler being able to take advantage of that, and following along behind him is Donovan Ross.
Yeah, Donovan Ross, again, he's one of the drivers to watch in this consolation or B main race, I should say. These guys are still 2x2 though, trying to make the bottom work. Zach Neubauer was down there, and it's kind of separated into the top 3 and then the rest of the drivers behind that. But again, these guys are fanning out. You have one driver tailing the field by a little bit. That's Carter Jamison. He's one of the odd men out, and Steve Maurer in 9th. But in front of that, it's still a huge pack here, and we're almost halfway through this B main.
Yeah, and you see up front the top 2 battling and actually almost making contact going into turn 1 the last time by. That kind of checked everybody up, and Nick Vickery was almost in a bad situation, almost having to go 3 wide, but very wisely he backed out of it, and now you see him running the very bottom of the track, trying to get past Steven Bixler here.
Boy, yeah, Jeff Flaro had some near contact there with Mike Cranmer. Ooh, and Vickery goes up the track there. Leaves the door open. Bixler still battling with him, and we're approaching 4 laps to go here. It's starting to single file out, but these guys really still going at it in about 5th on back. There is no safety back here. These guys are going at it. Neubauer up at the top. Chris Schaefer's looking down low to make a slide job happen on Steven Bixler. He does do so. And up ahead of him, there is a battle for the lead brewing.
Yeah, absolutely. You see Nick Vickery working that high line at the moment, trying to get a run on Ross up off the corner. If he's able to get to the outside of him as they come onto the straightaway, he'll have an extremely good shot going into the next set of corners.
2 laps to go, and it's pretty much the top 8 are together. So 9th and 10th, Jameson has actually fallen into the pits, and Steve Maurer has actually fallen into the pits as well. He must have had some kind of problem. We take the white flag here, so all these drivers that are on track will make the feature. They're just fighting for a little bit more track position in the feature race. The back 4 here really going at it, but we come around turn 4, and Nicholas Vickery comes from 4th up to 1st in this B main, followed by Donovan Ross, Chris Schaefer, and Mike Cranmer ends up 4th, and rounding out the top 5 is Jeff Flara.
Yes, 6th place is Steven Bixler, 7th Zach Neubauer, 8th place is Jeff Barker, and unfortunately going home tonight will be Stephen Marr and Carter Jameson rounding out your top 10.
It is unfortunate to send a few drivers home, but we do have our 24-car feature lineup, and these guys will come out for a 3-minute warm-up here, and we'll bring our in-race reporter John Hine back in. And John, do you agree? Do you think that the intensity kind of ramped up as we went through the heats there?
Yeah, I'll take blame for that. I kind of feel like I started it. Yeah, the last race of the season, some guys have nothing to lose. Some guys have a little bit to lose, I guess. So different agendas, and sometimes that can create chaos.
Hey, John, you're out on the track right now. I see you working the very bottom, but so far we've seen the middle of the track be kind of the fast way to go, at least the consistently fast way to go. Do you expect that to be the same here, or do you expect a line to kind of come in that we haven't seen yet?
I think that'll stay true, and I think that bottom might even come back there just because there's some tack down there, and the further up the track these cars go, they don't have the power to kind of drive around, so the times on the stopwatch will kind of even out, I think. So it's just going to come down to where you're placed in your car and how well you're managing what's going on around you.
Now, John, we've talked earlier about drivers' mentality if they're racing around one of the championship favorite drivers, notably Blake Chapman and Randy Shreves. What's your take on it from the driver's seat? How are you going to race those two guys in particular?
Well, if I'm around either one of those guys, I'm going to be very deferential to them. I'll make sure I'm not messing with them, holding them up or anything like that. If I'm around any of the other championship guys, and even them for that matter, my job at that point is not so much to lay over, but make sure I'm not putting them in a bad spot or putting myself in a bad spot where I could take them out. It's just, driving with respect at that point.
That was John Hine, our in-race reporter. Good luck to you, John. He's in.
Thank you. I hope I can do well here for this Stand with Ukraine sprint car here tonight. It's a cool paint scheme, and it's a shame what's going on over there, and we do have our thoughts and prayers with them.
Wholeheartedly agree with you, John. But John Hine will be rolling off 7th place tonight, and we're about 10 seconds away from gridding up for this one. But JR, it looks like a lot of these drivers are starting to move up higher and higher on the racetrack.
Yeah, they absolutely are. You can see that cushion continuing to move up the track here. I don't know that we'll see it get all the way up top in these 305s. I think that'll come a little bit later in the next set of races. But it's continuing to move up. These guys are searching for just a little bit of grip, especially up off the corner, and anything to help them keep that car straight to not lose their momentum.
Here we go. It is feature time for the A&J Custom Creations 305 Sprint Series. Starting off on pole will be Blake Chapman, our points leader. Next in will be Bob DeGood. Jeremy Paulson, who had a really good heat race, will start in 3rd. Nicholas Schell will be 4th. Dan McLaren will start P5, and 6th place will be GJ Boydell. John Hine will be 7th, and next in will be John Rayner. 9th place will be Nathan Aldrich, and 10th will be Brennan Lacey. And the top half of the field will be rounded out by Jeffrey Kemper and Andy Patton in 12th. JR?
Yeah, 13th place tonight will be Joe Canellis. 14th is Randy Shreves, a guy that's looking to move forward in this race for points. 15th is Roger Craig. 16th, Gary Taylor. Nick Vickery, another one, starting 17th to keep an eye on moving forward. 18th, Donovan Ross. 19th, Chris Schaefer. 20th is Mike Cranmer. 21st, Jeff Laro. 22nd is Steven Bixler. 23rd tonight will be Zach Neubauer. And 24th, rounding out the field in this A main race, will be Jeff Barker.
I think Blake Chapman's definitely got an upper hand on the competition. You know, he went and qualified really well, won his heat race, starting this on pole. All the cards are kind of in his favor at the moment. Shreve's going to have an uphill battle here, but you definitely can't count him out.
No, you can't. I mean, we've got a 20-lap race here, and a lot of things can happen in 20 laps. You think that would be a pretty calm race, but it's not. The groove's going to move around. A lot of things are going to be happening here, so anything can happen to the leaders up front, and you never know if an opportunity is going to pop up, and Shreves could take advantage of that.
Remember, the green flag laps only will be counting in this feature race. So, the Steve King Foundation pace truck is coming around turn 3 and 4 right now. We'll hand the field off to Blake Chapman, but remember, we go on green. We'll see what kind of jump he ends up getting with Bob DeGood on his outside. Here we go. Green flag is in the air, and it's a really good start from Bob DeGood. He ends up flying right on by Blake Chapman, and Blake Chapman, though, he might be able to kind of slot into second here.
Yeah, he's going to have to try to find an opening here. He doesn't want to get himself in a bad position. You see him move up to the top of the track to take that groove away from the other guys already up there. And he's going to start to make a run going into turn 1.
You know, I wonder if that was actually intentional, because Blake Chapman maybe knew that the bottom was not really there at the moment, so he intentionally didn't get the greatest jump and was able to slot in on the high line, which is preferred, and now he can kind of work that bottom at his leisure, which he is going for now. A risky move. He's going to have to try to avoid getting freight trained here, but I think he's going to make that happen. He goes into turn 3 and will take the lead.
Yeah, he absolutely does. You see in 3rd and 4th, Paulson and Shell, they're really racing hard here. Paulson taking that position over, and he's trying to move that groove up the track higher and higher.
He is. He sticks his nose up and gets kind of caught off, and there's a huge wreck down into turn 3. Jeremy Paulson still flipping. He's finally settled down into turn 3 and 4. That was him and GJ Boydell that ended up worse for wear there. But I was just about to mention that Jeremy Paulson was going like kind of extremely high out of turn 1 and 2, and maybe caught Bob DeGood by surprise.
I was going to say the same thing. He was up higher than anybody's ran so far tonight, and I just don't think Bob expected anybody's car to be up there, to be honest with you. And he was making some ground right before they turned off in the turn 3, and that's when the contact was made.
Boy, how unfortunate for Paulson there. He's got to pull it into the pits, so I'm not sure we will see anything left of him in the rest of this feature race. Looks like Bob DeGood is able to continue. No wheel damage for him, but Blake Chapman, a power move by him to take that lead after having not the greatest start.
Yeah, he quickly took back control of this race after falling back into second, and yeah, it didn't look like it was hard work at all for him, so he's got a very good understanding of the car that he has right now and the track conditions.
So we were able to get 4 laps complete in this one, and it looks like the lights are off on the pace truck. Single file restarts for these features. So you see Blake Chapman, he'll run up at the top, and Bob DeGood is leaving quite a gap at the moment, but we'll see him close that gap up as we come to take the green here. But Chapman will run this top side, and we'll see him get a good jump off of turn 4, and we'll have about 16 laps to go when we take the green flag. Steve King Foundation pace truck moves down and out of the groove and into pit lane, and here we go. Chapman takes the green flag, and DeGood does not get the greatest jump. He's got a long queue of cars behind him. Chapman already with a pretty large gap to the rest of the field there, but look at that. Dan McLaren, he did the same thing down the back. Dan McLaren's wrecking in the same exact manner that Paulson did.
Yeah, these guys are trying to move that groove up higher and higher, and I think they're just getting their fronts just a little too far up, and at that point the front just washes out, and you can't rotate these cars. They're not the high-powered sprints that we'll see later tonight, and it just pushed right up into the wall there.
Looking at some of the other drivers there that got collected in that, Jeffrey Kemper was one of them, Mike Kramer another, Joe Canellis was involved. Roger Craig was involved. There was quite a few drivers there that kind of piled into turn 3, and that's kind of just a product of everybody being so stacked up on these restarts. Hard to get away from everybody.
Extremely hard, especially in these dirt cars. Any type of dirt car, if there's something big that happens in front of you, it's going to be extremely lucky if you're able to avoid that. So, yeah, very hard to stop or to do anything to do a maneuver to get around that.
I noticed that Bob DeGood looked like he was leaving a decent gap up to Blake Chapman on that start. Was he maybe trying to get a good jump on the restart, or was he maybe just giving him extra space out of respect? What do you think? What do you think was the reasoning behind that? Looks like he's leaving a gap again.
Yeah, it could be exactly like you said, trying to time it correctly, so he is able to get a run on Chapman going into turn 1. But also, he could just be leaving a gap. So the one reason you might want to do that is on these single file restarts, things always kind of check up, and if they check up, you get yourself in a very bad position with the guy that's behind you. So he could just be leaving room to make sure that Chapman doesn't try to slow the field down or anything and mess him up on his start.
He's starting to close the gap up. It's down to about 2 car lengths now. But Blake Chapman has been cool, calm, and collected thus far. And we will have 15 green flag laps to go here. As we take the green flag, Chapman has control of the field, and he will take the green. We'll see if history repeats itself again. We'll see what drivers do on the backstretch here and see how high they want to go. Bob DeGood ran a lower line down in 1 and 2 that time and was able to get away with it and slot into second with a train of cars behind him.
He absolutely is. He's kind of running the middle groove right now, and you see Nick Lachelle trying to run that cushion, trying to get the momentum up off the corner as he comes off of turn 2 here to get a run down the backstretch.
These drivers will be catching up to a lap car. Dan McLaren will keep an eye on that, but here is Nick Lachelle trying to make the move, wanted to slide up in front of Bob DeGood, unable to do so. And Brennan Lacey's in there. He was really fast in his heat race, just didn't qualify very well. He's trying to poke his way up into the top 5. He started 10th tonight in this feature, and look at that, Randy Shreves right there with him, trying to follow him through.
Yeah, absolutely. Shreves coming from a little bit, basically midfield already, and he's up to 5th place here, challenging for that 4th position. They're kind of too wide in front of him right now, so he's going to have to be a little bit patient here, but yeah, you see him going to the outside of Nick Lachelle.
Oh yeah, Shell's just kind of stuck on the bottom. I think Shell has a fast car as well. It's just he doesn't have the track position at the moment. He's got 2 fast drivers on his outside. Blake Chapman actually running the low line at the front of your screen there, whizzing past, and he's got a pretty good lead here. And Bob DeGood has a little bit of a queue forming again behind him with 3 really fast cars in Lacey, Shreves, and Shell, and behind them is kind of a few more clusters that are fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Blake Chapman wants to see in this race. He's hoping that this thing stays green because it's just allowing him to pull further and further away as these guys race for 2nd through 5th here.
Yeah, and the laps are winding down here. It's only a 20-lap feature, and we're down to about 8 laps to go already. Again, the lap car Dan McLaren could be a factor in this. He's a few seconds ahead of our leader, Blake Chapman, but Chapman's got probably about a 5 to 10 car length advantage over Bob DeGood. But you got to talk about Bob DeGood. He's had good track position, but he has kept that track position all night long.
Yeah, he absolutely has. So he's shown that he's got the speed that he needs to be up front. And you know, this may be a little bit of a different position for him in an A main feature. So he's learning a lot right now. That's hard to say when you're kind of in front of everybody, but you're learning a lot. You're seeing what the guys behind you are doing and what they're trying to do to gain advantage. He actually gets the backstretch wall a little bit there going into 3.
Yeah, he did, and then he shoots down to the bottom, and looks like 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th kind of all running different lines, and you notice that they're switching lines. They're not always running the same part of the track every single corner, every single lap.
I love seeing guys do that. You got to keep people guessing, and I always say if you follow the guy in front of you, that's probably all you're going to do is just follow him. So you need to be searching around this track, finding out where that grip is, where the fastest lap time is available, and go out there and get it.
There is Randy Shreves diving down to the bottom, trying to get past Brennan Lacey. He doesn't really have a hole to slip into for a slide job, though, because Bob DeGood is kind of filling that space. We're already down to 3 laps to go here. Blake Chapman has a commanding lead over these guys. This is a pretty close battle on track. We also have some decent battles in the back half of the top 10. Blake Chapman now taking 2 laps to go. We're starting to see the lap car Dan McLaren in the view of our screen, but I don't think he's going to be a factor, as we're looking again at the battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th between Bob DeGood, Randy Shreves, and Brennan Lacey. We take the white flag here as Blake Chapman will wrap around this track one more time. And Bob DeGood still holding on to 2nd place, but again, we'll come around and Blake Chapman will not only win the feature, but he'll win the championship here in the C2C Hometown Heroes 305 Sprint Series. Bob DeGood with a really nice 2nd place run there. Brennan Lacey holds on for 3rd. Randy Shreves, a good effort by him, 14th to 4th. He doesn't quite get the Gambler Motorsports Hard Charger Award, but top 5 for him. Nicholas Schell ends up 5th. Nathan Aldrich is 6th. 7th place, good consistent run for John Hine. 17th to 8th for Nicholas Vickery. Joe Canellis ends up 9th. Andy Patton 10th. Chris Schaefer is 11th. And 12th place goes to Jeff Flaro, JR.
Yeah, 12th place in this A main was Jeff Flaro once again. 13th is Jeff Barker. John Rayner Jr. in 14th. Donovan Ross in 15th tonight. Jeremy Pawson comes home in 16th. 17th is Steven Bixler. 18th place is Zach Neubauer. 18th place tonight. 19th place tonight is Jeffrey Kemper. 20th, Gary Taylor. 21st, GJ Boydell. 22nd is Mike Cranmer. 23rd is Roger Craig. And coming home in last place tonight is Dan McLaren in 24th.
Yeah, the Gambler Motorsports Hard Charger Award ends up going to Jeffrey Barker, who started 24th, finished 13th. But we'll go ahead and bring in our race and championship winner, Blake Chapman. Blake, you made it look easy tonight. A really nice, consistent run for you, starting first, finishing first. Talk about your race.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys were able to pick up on it or not, but the bottom wasn't as dominant as it usually was, at least in these past weeks. So, it made it a little bit more difficult for me to not just run that bottom and run away and hide. So I had to find some lines there in the middle. I ran a line just above the bottom where I could give it more throttle. That seemed to work, and then I changed my line 3 and 4 about halfway through the race. But overall, I think the guys did a really good job, a full field, keeping it clean and putting on a good show for the broadcast.
We did kind of notice that the track conditions were maybe a little bit different than they have been. What was it like going through a championship where, you're at the same track every single week, but which may give people the preconceived thought that track's always just going to be the same? How different actually is it week to week with the track conditions?
Yeah, it's tough, especially if you throw in weeks like these where, the bottom or the one line that's been dominant all season isn't as dominant that week. So it really changes things up. But running the same track, usually the same guys come out and you can figure out where they like to run and kind of race them a little bit differently. So I think it's a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun this season.
And talk about this season, or talk about the season finale here. When what was your mentality coming into this race? Were you just planning on going out all out and trying to win everything, or just kind of letting the race come to you and just seeing where you fall?
Yeah, well, coming in, I don't let points get to my head too much, so I was just going to come in at like any regular week. And once I got the quick time and put it on the pole, then I figured I just had to get out to a lead and kind of run away from them, and I was able to do that.
Well, Blake, you had a great run tonight and a great run all season long. Who do you have to thank for your race-winning and championship-winning run?
Yeah, I got to thank everybody down at the Can-Am Racing Team and Krite Sim Racing, and of course I got to thank Galen's Popcorn. If you're looking for some delicious popcorn, definitely go check them out. If you use code CART at checkout, you get 15% off of any purchase. And I got to also thank my parents and grandparents, sister, anybody who watches and supports. And I got to thank you guys for putting this on every week.
That was our Cool Ray Victory Lane winner, Blake Chapman. And I think JR has caught up with our second place driver, Bob DeGood.
Absolutely, Kenny, I have. Bob, congratulations on that second place run. Extremely tight field in qualifying. I think you only qualified around 10th, but man, once you had that track position in the heats and the A main here, you were able to hold on to it and show that you had plenty of speed.
Yeah, track position's everything in the 305s.
Yeah, you did a great job tonight being able to hold on to it. Talk us through a little bit on the track conditions tonight compared to how they've been in the past weeks here. It looks like the racing groove was actually a little bit different than what we've seen in these 305s.
Oh, I'm an old guy, so I don't have such a great memory. I can't remember yesterday, but the groove tonight was it was about what you'd expect. It was worn out in the middle, and so you could either run really low or you could run the top, and the top was kind of the long way around, so you had to be creative and find a line that utilized some of that grip in the top and keep the momentum up.
Absolutely. Talk us through these restarts. You did have a few of them. Was not a caution field race like we might have seen earlier in the season. So just talk us through those two restarts that we had there, and what your thoughts were coming to green, knowing that you had guys trying to get by you.
Well, it's just a matter of get started as quick as you can and don't leave any distance on the table, because they're going to run over you if you give them a chance.
Absolutely right. Hey, again, Bob, congratulations on that second place run tonight. Well deserved for sure. Tell us, is there anybody that you want to thank for tonight's run?
Well, I'd like to thank the Coast to Coast Racing League, Malcolm Mills Millwrighting, Alex Bergeron Setup Shops, and Pitside Podcast.
All right. Thanks again, Bob. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was Bob DeGood, our second place finisher tonight. I believe now Kenny has caught up with our third place finisher, Brennan Lacey.
Yeah, we're down here with Brennan Lacey, third place for you, Brennan. You didn't post a qualifying time, but you were really fast in your heat race, and I had a feeling that would carry over to the feature, and it did.
Yeah, these cars are just kind of tough. You really have to kind of fall in line and hope somebody wrecks or somebody gets moved so you can pass them. But yeah, didn't get that qualifying time. I was late. Was out finishing some homework and stuff. But yeah, came in overall pretty good night.
Now, we noticed you were kind of coming through the field there with Randy Shreves, and Randy was one of the kind of championship contenders coming into tonight. Did you have any kind of thoughts about that when you were coming through the field with him, maybe trying to give him some space, or are you kind of just treating it like any other race?
Yeah, I mean, just like really any other race, I mean, I knew he's behind me and I knew he's in it, and then I saw on the relative that he was coming, so I just kind of tried to stay to a dominant line, so just in case he was faster somewhere else, and I was fully prepared for him to pass me. I mean, he does it pretty much weekly to me, so, but it was overall pretty good, just kind of stayed where I needed to stay and ended up getting up there.
Now, this Hometown Heroes series, kind of a unique championship. What is it like racing at the same track week to week, but with kind of different competitors kind of coming in and out in different conditions every single week?
One thing I think it's a consistent car count. I like how many cars you can get and how well, the track, people can say the track runs the same. I think the last 3 times I've ran this, the line's been different every time. It kind of adds a variety out there for it, and especially if you're viewing it online, like with your guys' broadcast, people can watch something and not be bored out of their mind because you're running one line all night. So it's a real cool deal that Roger and them put on here, and I think it's only going to continue to get better. I know that Volusia's kind of a hit or miss track with some guys, but it's created some great racing here the last couple weeks.
For sure has. There has been quite a lot of variety as well, but great job on the third place run tonight. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, just the boys at Bandy Built, fantastic cars as always, and Ross over at Velocity, Dirt Doctor Trucking, ABR Setup Shop, all the boys to help us get this thing up front.
Thanks, Brennan, and congratulations on the third place run.
Thank you, sir.
That was Brennan Lacey, our third place winning driver there, and that's one event down, but we have 2 events to go. As up next, it'll be the 360 Sprints presented by ABR Setup Shop. Don't go anywhere, because after this message, we'll be back with some more racing.
industry. The lifetime parts and labor warranty is pretty awesome. Basically, all the parts are covered, the labor and everything.
When we say lifetime, we mean lifetime, and it's supported with money-back guarantees. And with that, you're getting all qualified technicians that are going to ensure that this job is done perfectly and operates perfectly throughout the life of the unit.
Learn more about our Coolray lifetime parts and labor warranty at Coolray.com. Coolray and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
Welcome back to the ABR Setup Shop 360 Sprint Series as part of the Coast to Coast Hometown Heroes series here at Volusia. It's championship week. It's the final week of the season. And JR, why don't you take a look at these 360s? This not quite the points battle that we had in the 305s, but here at Volusia, there's still something to play for, as quite a few drivers have still been competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. Not quite the battle up front that we've seen. A little over 90 points separating Randy Shreves and Nicholas Vickery in first and second. But there is a tight battle between Vickery and Spangler in second and third there. Also back to Chapman in fourth. Fifth place right now is Kyle Moonen. Sixth is Brian Dickens. Seventh, John Hine. Roger Craig is in eighth. G.J. Boydell is in ninth. And Barry Goldner narrowly holding on to that top 10 position.
Now, quickly here as we go into this qualifying session presented by the ABR Setup Shop, these 360s, they drive quite a bit different from the 305s with obviously more power behind them.
Yeah, we've just gained almost 300 horsepower from the last race, so definitely a lot of throttle control involved in these cars. We're still not 100% sure what the track conditions are going to be. Probably going to slick up pretty good and pretty quickly. We'll have to pay attention during those heat races, but I would expect the groove to be in the middle to the higher portion of the track pretty early here.
And we see a very large field participating tonight. Only 24 will make the feature, and we have about 10 or so drivers that are going to be going home, so that'll be interesting. It's going to make qualifying that much more important as we're watching qualifying times at the moment. And at the moment, it's Andy Patton who's at the top of the board with a 13.948.
Yeah, and, Dickens takes over that top spot, followed behind him in Berger. Actually, Chapman takes second place, so you got Dickens and Chapman up top right now.
Yeah, Blake Chapman, our 305 Sprint Series champion that we just watched moments ago, put on a dominating performance in those 305s. And but Dickens, I don't think he raced in the 305s, but he's come out in full force in these 360s. But real quick, we want to bring in our in-race reporter, if we can, John Hine. John, 360s compared to the 305s, obviously a different car, but has the track changed from server to server?
Not a whole lot, actually, surprisingly. You got a nice slick line going, so I think the heat races are going to be just about what you saw in the last server there. I think guys are going to migrate to that middle to the high side pretty quick. That bottom is going to be a little sketchy, I think, early on, and it'll be interesting to see if it comes in a little later tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, John. So Definitely, I think there's going to be several guys that are going to be a little bit better on the bottom as they are week to week. Do you think those guys are going to have an advantage in that A main as we get further into the night?
Well, I sure hope so. Hope the guys that are used to running up against the wall have an advantage, because I'm one of those guys. So, wishful thinking's gonna say yeah, but you know what? These guys in this league are all pretty good, and they're all good at adjusting on the fly. I would suspect that you're gonna see a lot of guys that run the bottom are just as fast as up on top, or vice versa.
Well, we'll say good luck to John Hine tonight in the 360 sprints. And Stephen Goldner actually has put up a huge lap time of a 13.854 with just a few moments left in qualifying, and he only ran that one lap. So that is a lap of the gods from Stephen Goldner, and he'll nab the pole position.
Yeah, and only by 0.02 of a second, Kenny. So, yeah, very impressive there.
And we'll get ready for heat race number 1, presented by the Super Dirt Car Series. It'll be Steven Bixler starting on pole. Next to him will be Zach Neubauer. Third place will be Jamie McCarron, and fourth will be Stephen Goldner.
Yeah, fifth place will be our in-race reporter John Hine. Sixth place is Carter Jamison, and rounding out the field in this heat is John Rayner Jr. in seventh.
Now, JR, talk about with how many drivers are going home from these events. In past events, you could get away with missing, the automatic feature transfer by a few positions and be all right. But now, if, the difference between being the first guy out of the feature and even the second guy out of the feature in your heat, that is a large grid difference in that LCQ.
Absolutely. It's going to be more of an emphasis on trying to transfer in on these heats. But like you said, if you cannot, you definitely want to be that first guy out so you have good track position going into your B main. Otherwise, you could have a long race. Even though the laps are short, the race will feel extremely long, and you may end up going home tonight.
Definitely so. We're coming to take the 1 to go signal from Barney the Flagman. And the Steve King Foundation pace truck will wheel its way around the track one more time. I am really interested to see what Stephen Goldner can do here. Only one lap of qualifying, so he doesn't really have a whole lot of time on this track in its current state, but obviously he's quick.
Yeah, definitely quick. So we'll have to see how he does in race conditions. We know he's fast by himself and understands where the track is at the moment, but racing around other cars is definitely different. So we'll have to see how his racecraft is here and if he's able to get back up front.
Pace truck comes around 3 and 4. We'll dive down into pit lane, and Stephen Bixler. There you go. Stephen Bixler will take the green flag, and they're 2x2 down into turn 1. Oh, 3 wide almost immediately, and that was Jamie McCarron making a huge move, and they get away with it, and he slides into 4th place. But that was a really aggressive move.
Yeah, big time aggressive, but these guys are ready to go. They want to get that win. They want to be up front in this A main later tonight. You see Neubauer holding this lead at the moment. Goldner trying to work the bottom of the track here.
Yeah, Goldner doing a really good job. He's going to take that lead from Neubauer. Neubauer slots into 2nd place, and it looked like McCarron was trying to peek to the outside, but he thought better of it. These guys single file out, but the fight is not quite over with it. Stephen Bixler has got John Hine in tow. And John Hine, the first driver out at the moment. McCarron a little bit kind of all over the place at the moment, going up, down the track, just trying anything he can to nab that 2nd spot.
Yeah, he's definitely looking around. You could see that last time through 3 and 4, he actually tried to do a little bit of a slide into Neubauer there, almost making contact, but the bottom of the track definitely looks slick. These guys are trying to have them figured out really quick. It's only an 8-lap race here. Big
time slide job maneuver there by John Hine, trying to get after Stephen Bixler for that final transfer spot, and he does grab it. Bixler's going to look low, near contact there, but they're able to get away with it. 2 laps to go here, and Hine now seems to be pretty firm into 4th place, but a good lead has been built up by Stephen Goldner. He's backing up that fast lap time he put down in qualifying.
Definitely showing his dominance here early tonight, being able to pull away in this race. McCarron holding on to 2nd place at the moment, and you see John Hine trying to go on this final lap after Neubauer.
Yeah, we come around to take the checkered flag. It's Steven Goldner winning heat race number 1, Jamie McCarron second, and Zach Neubauer will be third, and John Hine making that so important single pass near the end of that heat race ends up getting into fourth place, with 3 drivers having to go to one of the LCQs.
Yep, those 3 drivers will be Steven Bixler, John Rayner Jr., and Carter Jamison.
And Bixler actually started on the pole for that heat race, so he will have to start on pole in the LCQ. Heat race number 2 coming up, though, presented by Pet Partners, and on pole will be Patrick Spangler. Starting next to him is Mike Cranmer. Third place will be Blake Chapman, our 305 Series champion, and Kyle Moonen will be next to him in fourth.
Yeah, starting in 5th will be Jeffrey Kemper. Alongside him in 6th is Roger Craig, and rounding out the field in this heat race will be the 7th place driver of Brandon Templeton.
That was a pretty good heat there, the first heat race. A little bit of contact, but everybody was able to keep it going straight, and a decent amount of passing there. I like what I'm seeing from the different grooves in the track right now.
Yeah, the track's in a great shape right now. It's allowing the drivers to have a lot of options, which is so great about this track to begin with, especially if you get that track state where it needs to be, and we're very close to that right now. These cars, because of the higher horsepower, they give you options with slide jobs and the different lines you can run going high in, low out type situations. So hopefully they continue this trend as we go into these remaining heat races.
You also see the drivers spread out a little more quickly in these races. With the 305s, these 8-lap heats really aren't even enough time for the field to start stringing out. But once these guys in the 360s are able to spread out, it allows them to have a little more space on the track and allows them to try more options.
Yeah, absolutely right. So in those 305s, you kind of get locked into where you're running just because you don't have room to move around. So yeah, it's awesome to see a little bit of a gap be created in these cars and give those drivers the chance to move around.
Here we go. The Steve King Foundation pace truck is about to pull off into the pit lane. A little bit of a connection issue I saw from Mike Cranmer there for a moment. But here we go. Patrick Spangler takes the green flag, and he's got a decent jump into turn 1. He's clear into the lead on the high side. It's Blake Chapman in second, Mike Cranmer now in third, and Kyle Moonen looking underneath him to try to grab that spot.
Absolutely, Chapman getting through Moonen, working him over. Oh, contact going into turn 1 with the Cranmer there. Yeah,
Cranmer's actually going to move down all the way to, I believe that's 6th position. Brandon Templeton, it's worth noting, did not grid up for this race. So Cranmer now is on the outside looking in. Kemper's the first man out. Roger Craig is the last man in. We look up towards the front as Blake Chapman is trying to grab that lead away from Patrick Spangler.
So not what Spangler wanted to see in this race. We know Chapman's fast. He is the 305 champion. Going after him here down the back straightaway. Thought about making a run into turn 3, but I think he's going to hold off until they get to turn 1 here.
Yeah, he's definitely got his nose underneath, though, and Spangler's going to give him that bottom line. And you think if you're Spangler, are you going to maybe be aggressive and kind of pinch off Chapman a little bit and prevent that angle, prevent him from washing up the track coming off of the turns?
I think you may look at that going into the corner, but I think ultimately you're going to want to put that right rear tire close to where that cushion is and get the most grip out of it. We see another contact with Cranmer there, and I believe that might have been Jeff Kemper.
Yeah, it was Jeff Kemper, and now those two guys were actually, neither of them were in the transfer spot, so they're still trying to run down Roger Craig. That's actually going to give a little bit more breathing room to Roger Craig with a lap and a half to go in this one. The closest battle on track is for the lead here. Blake Chapman trying to look underneath Patrick Spangler here at the white flag lap. Spangler keeping it up top. Chapman looking underneath. Is he going to try the slide job here? He's going to run the bottom. Will slide up. Spangler notices it, cuts down below. A photo finish. And I can't call that one. It looks like Patrick Spangler won that one by 6 1/1000ths of a second. How about that? And Kyle Moonen ends up third place. And the final transferee ends up being Roger Craig.
Yep, and going to our B main will be Mike Cranmer, Jeffrey Kemper, and Brandon Templeton.
What a race that was. It was cool to see Chapman make the move, and Patrick Spangler totally saw it coming and altered his line, backed off the throttle, got back on it early so that he could counter that and beat him just barely to the line. But we start heat race number 3, presented by World of Sports Podcast. On pole will be Donovan Ross, with Chris Schaefer starting next to him. Jeff Flaro will be in third, and Brian Dickens starts fourth.
Yeah, fifth place will be Gary Taylor. Alongside him will be Joe Canellis in sixth, and rounding out the field in this heat will be seventh place Brandon Dittmer.
That was a really good race there between the two leaders. Interested to see if we see more of that. I'm looking at a driver like Jeff Flaro in this one. He didn't have a greatest night in the 305s, looking maybe for some redemption tonight. And that's one good thing about having a series or a league where you run multiple series per night is you're not just one and done. You kind of have a chance to redeem yourself and end on a good note.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's very easy, especially in these dirt races, to have a bad race. And when you're running multiple races, you have that opportunity to try to come back in the next race and have a good showing.
Again, 7 drivers are in this heat race number 3. 4 will advance automatically to our 24-car feature field. Donovan Ross is on pole, meaning he was the 4th fastest qualifier out of this group, but don't put it past him. Donovan Ross is a pretty quick driver in that number 5 car. We'll see how he fares here. I think this is going to be a pretty evenly matched heat overall.
Yeah, I absolutely think you're right. Be interesting to see who gets the good jump here on the opening lap and how things single file out and go from there.
Here we go, out of turn 4. Donovan Ross will take the green flag. And a little bit of a stack up behind him in both lanes. Both lanes didn't really get a good jump. Ross will single file out into the lead. Chris Schaefer with a really good jump into second place. Jeff Flaro files out into third. And the odd man out there ended up being Gary Taylor. Ooh, a little bit of contact with Brian Dickens there, and they'll both settle it out. But Dickens has lost some momentum there, and he's down to 5th.
Yep, definitely created a gap up to the 4th place, so he's going to have to work on that. We see Jeff Flaro to the inside here, trying to make something happen on Schaefer.
Oh! Flaro slides up the track and up into Schaefer and will spin it out, and that will pretty much end his hopes of advancing automatically to the feature. He's still trying to regather control in turn 1, but a battle for the lead here between Donovan Ross and Chris Schaefer. Schaefer goes for a huge slide job, and Ross will come back at him and grab that spot back.
Ross was definitely looking in his mirror, expecting that to happen. He did what he needed to do the crossover there, but Schaefer is coming back into turn 1.
Another slide job maneuver, narrowly getting up into the fence there, but the good thing for Schaefer is he's got the space to try this out because there's a big gap between him and 3rd place.
Yeah, there absolutely is. So these guys can race as hard as they want to right now. Hopefully they don't take each other out because they're in the transfer spots easily. So we'll see how this continues on. But Schaefer definitely trying some things, seeing if he can get the upper hand.
We do have to keep an eye on the battle behind them because we do have a side-by-side battle between Gary Taylor and Joe Canellis. And those two are the final 2 drivers that are in automatically. Oh, side-by-side, Dickens is licking his chops, trying to take advantage. Narrowly having contact there between him and Canellis. As we take the white flag, the battle for the lead's kind of single filed out, as this is the battle going on for that final transfer position. We come around turn 4. Donovan Ross will hold on for the win. Chris Schaefer is 2nd, Gary Taylor 3rd, and Brian Dickens, able to recover after losing 1 spot early on, ends up getting that final transfer spot.
Yep, and having to go to our B main tonight, it's going to be Joe Canellis, Jeff Flaro, and Brandon Dittmer.
Yeah, again, Dittmer did not start heat race number 3, but the oh-so-important final pass there by Brian Dickens barely gets him into the show. But we head on to heat race number 4, presented by Maurer Farm Management, and on the pole will be Barry Goldner. Starting next to him will be Nicholas Vickery. Andy Patton will be 3rd, and Bob Evertson will be in 4th.
Yeah, Nick Cohan will be in 5th place tonight in this heat race. Jeff Barker alongside him in 6th, and Brennan Lacey rounding out the field in 7th.
Remember, Brennan Lacey did not take a qualifying time in the 305 sprints and ended up racing his way up to a 3rd place in the feature. And looks like he didn't take a qualifying time in these races or in the 306s either, so he'll be starting dead last in this heat. It'll be really fun to watch him come through the field.
Yeah, it should be. He's had plenty of speed in the earlier races tonight, so he should be one to watch moving forward for sure, having to start in 7th place here.
Barry Goldner, again, will start on pole here. Nick Vickery, he's always a one to watch, a fast driver. And Andy Patton is no slouch as well in third place. But I think that last heat that we watched was pretty even, like what we thought, and a little bit of just a little mistake can be the difference between you making the show and not making the show.
Yeah, for sure. So, these are open wheel cars. It does not take much contact at all to send yourself around or even flipping down one of these straightaways. So, definitely have to be very, very conscious of where you are in relation to the other drivers on the track, and do everything you can to avoid that contact, because if you hit just right, it's not going to end well for you.
Looks like Jeffrey Barker has disconnected, possibly due to some internet issues. So this is only going to be a 6-car field. And again, only 4 will make it automatically to the feature event. And we have about a half a lap of pacing left to go. And what do you think? Lacey starting last here, do you think he can get up into a transfer spot in 8 laps?
He definitely has the least amount of pressure on him, so he's able to see what everybody else is doing. He's going to be able to try to get the best jump on this opening lap here. So he's got an extremely good shot. And like we said earlier, he's got plenty of speed based on earlier tonight.
Definitely does. Well, the pace truck dives down into the pit lane, and we are green. Nicholas Vickery with a really good jump on the top side. He's going to carry that momentum into the lead in turn 1 and 2. Bob Evertson follows right behind him, and he's able to snag second place right away.
Absolutely, top 2 pulling away. Goldner in third at the moment, trying to hold on to that position.
And Goldner slips up to the top after being passed by those 2 drivers and is able to slot into third place. The only side-by-side battle right now is Nicholas Cohan and I believe that was Brennan Lacey going at it. And Lacey clears. He's able to grab that spot, but Cohan coming back at him. And it looks like it is getting slightly closer, though. Bob Evertson is just closing in that gap between him and Vickery just a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Everson observing what Vickery's doing, probably learning a lot right now. Track's a little bit different than what they qualified on, so taking a few laps just to fill out the car, and then you may see him try to set up a pass here.
I think Lacey has finally fought off Cohan here, and he's filed into 5th place, but that battle has really put him in the rears against the other 4 competitors, as he's made the pass, but now he's got a huge gap to make up in order to catch up to Barry Goldner, who is now the last man in.
Absolutely, but right now you see you got the top 2, Everson and Vickery, racing each other hard. Everson trying to set up a pass there, but also in 3rd and 4th you have Patton and Goldner going at it. If these guys get to racing side by side, that could move Lacey forward extremely quick.
Yeah, 2 laps to go here, and Vickery is now given up the lead, with Evertson getting that one with a slide job, and we take the white flag. It's another one-on-one duel, just like the last heat. Oh, a dive there. Vickery slide jobs, and Evertson dives back underneath them out of turn 2, and I think he might have enough momentum to keep the lead. He does. Evertson ends up winning this heat, followed by Vickery, Patton, Goldner as the transfer drivers. And it looks like Lacey there just unable to get the track position, just ran out of time.
Absolutely, having to go to that B main is Brennan Lacey, Nick Cohan, and of course Jeff Barker, who did not start this heat.
And we will have a 5th heat tonight in the 360s, the 5th heat presented by PA Posse. And Bob DeGood, who had a really good run in the 305 sprints earlier tonight, will start on pole. Preston Cranmer will be next to him. 3rd place will be Nicholas Schell, and Chris Berger will be 4th.
Yeah, last row in this heat will be Randy Shreves in 5th. Alongside him will be Dan McLaren starting in 6th.
And remember, Randy Shreves is the points leader. It's not mathematically out, but I would say that Shreves has a pretty commanding gap in the points lead, and didn't have the greatest qualifying effort tonight. But if you're Randy, you think you just get into the show and kind of take it from there?
Yeah, this is why you fight so hard earlier in the season, is to try to get that gap in the points, so that when you come down to the end of the year, if things are not going 100% your way, you can do what he's doing here, and that's just trying to be consistent, get into the heat, or get into the A main by getting up into 4th spot, which I think we'll see him do. But again, it's going to be tough for sure.
Randy also didn't have the greatest qualifying or heat speed in his 305 event, but he was able to get through the majority of the field in the feature, and really that's the main thing. That's what really matters. So we'll see if he's able to repeat that, but he does have to make up at least a couple spots here. I mean, things might be interesting if a guy like him doesn't make the show.
Yeah, that would be an extreme shocker to have your points leader not make it into the A main on the final night.
We're doubled up here, about ready to go green here in the final heat of the 360 Sprint Series, and Bob DeGood will take over the lead here, and he's down into turn one. A pretty decent jump, but an even better jump by Preston Cranmer, who was able to make the top work. Those guys were really close side by side for about a corner. Cranmer clears up into the lead, and now DeGood settles into second with Chris Berger right behind him, and a huge group right behind him.
Absolutely, Berger closing in on DeGood here. You see some guys getting loose off of turn two, having to gather it back up. That's going to create a gap a little bit between third and fourth position here.
Yeah, Dan McLaren was really out of shape there as Randy Shreves was getting by him. Everybody's single filed out for the moment. You're looking at the leader, Preston Cranmer, who's also driving some Ukrainian colors tonight. Cranmer has really built up a gap here between himself and Bob DeGood, and Chris Berger behind him, but it's side by side for fourth place between Nicholas Schell and Randy Shreves, and Shreves has taken that final transfer spot, but here comes Schell right on back.
Definitely battling hard for that final transfer position.
Oh, contact. Shreves is in the fence, and that will take him out of contention to transfer automatically. Sorry to cut you off there, JR, but that is huge, as that's going to force Shreves into a really bad grid position in one of the LCQs.
That is a major upset, and his work is going to be cut out for him just to get into the A main now. So yeah, that's huge for sure in the points. We'll have to see how that works out as we continue to watch it. Up front here, you see Berger tried to work over Cranmer, going in to get the white flag lap here.
Yeah, this is actually turning into a really close battle for the win of this heat. Berger has now taken second place late in the going here. Cranmer kind of slides up out of turn two. Will Berger try the slide job? We'll have to see. He's going to run high, or Cranmer's going to dive down low, run the slider line defensively, and Preston Cranmer will win heat race number 5, followed by Chris Berger and Nicholas, actually, third place will be Bob DeGood, sorry. Nicholas Schell will be the final transferee.
Yeah, and as we said earlier, 5th place Dan McLaren, he'll have to go to one of the B mains. Randy Shreves, big upset, having to go to B main tonight. It's going to be a big deal for him to try to make it into the race.
So here's the B main presented by Chip Bangers Racing, and this is huge here. We'll go through the lineup first, but it's Steven Bixler starting on pole, followed by Mike Cranmer. Joe Canellis and Brennan Lacey fill out row 2. Dan McLaren and John Rayner in 5th and 6th, and 7th place belongs to Jeffrey Kemper.
8th place will be Jeff Flaro. 9th is Nick Cohan. 10th place, Randy Shreves with a lot of ground to make up here. Carter Jamison will start 11th. Alongside him at 12th is Brandon Templeton. 13th place is Brandon Dittmer. Alongside him, and 14th will be Jeff Barker.
So it looks like Brandon Templeton and Brandon Dittmer, neither of them are in the session, so they're out of it. Now only 4 drivers are going to make this feature event out of the 14 that are registered and 12 that are on the track. So the drivers on track, only 4 will make it, and we got to look at Randy Shreves here. He's starting 10th place. He's got to make up 6 spots in 10 laps. I mean, that is a daunting task.
That is a huge task, especially in the mix of drivers that we have here. We have guys that have plenty of speed and are going to be tough to get around. Nobody's going to give him any room just because he's the current points leader. These guys are trying to race their way into the A main just like anybody else. So definitely going to be a tall order here. We'll have to pay attention and see how he's able to maneuver through the field.
Be watching closely as these guys are double filed up, and we're ready to take the green flag here. I think Randy Shreves is going to have to maybe hope for some wrecks in front of him, but here we go. Steven Bixler takes the green flag, and they're 2x2 down into turn 1 for the first time, and Bixler is going to lose out. That top line's really fast. Ooh, a little contact in behind. And that's one driver that's out of it already. That's John Rayner. That'll knock him out of the heat races. He just got up high and had some wheel-to-wheel contact.
And Shreves, with some amazing luck, they're able to bypass all of that action going on. He's up in the 5th spot, challenging for 4th down the backstretch.
Yeah, that was huge. I mean, he just must have just stayed in the gas up on that top side and was able to make it happen. Now he has a bunch of time now, actually. He doesn't have to be too hasty about this. He can set up the pass, and the one guy he's got to get by right now is Joe Canellis, but Joe Canellis at the same time trying to grab a spot from Steven Bixler.
So we saw some contact there with the wall. These cars are, man, yeah, very close there, Kenny.
Yeah, Shreves actually got nailed in the back by Dan McLaren, and now all of a sudden Nicholas Cohan is in the mix going after Shreves. Nobody is giving Shreves any room out here, but Shreves has now separated himself from those guys and now has about half of this race to go after Joe Canellis once again.
Yep, he's going to have to settle back in, probably be a little bit more patient. He's still got about half of this race to try to get it done.
I think, don't you think it'll hurt him, though, the fact that Canellis has another driver right in front of him? It prevents Shreves from really making that slide job happen.
Yeah, it absolutely does. His best option is that the two guys in front of him get to racing side by side, and he's able to get by one. So you see him trying to go to the inside down the backstretch here. He's able to make the pass going into 3.
Wow, Bixler had to check up because he narrowly had contact with Canellis, and with 3 laps to go, Shreves is now into a transfer spot, and he's got to be careful here. He's going for another spot with Canellis with contact down the backstretch. Now he settles in to that 4th place and final place in the feature field, and 2 laps to go, and he's going for more.
Yeah, he's still charging. He wants every spot that he can get, trying to pass Canellis down the inside on the back straightaway here. He's going to do it going into 3 with a slide job.
Yeah, that's a textbook pass, and I think he might be in the clear here. We take the white flag. I'd like to look back up at the leaders. Brennan Lacey has dominated this B main here down the backstretch into turn 3 for the final time. Brennan Lacey starts 4th and finishes 1st in this B main, followed by Mike Cranmer, Randy Shreves with a really good drive to get up into 3rd place, and Joe Canellis ends up P4 in the final transfer spot. Nicholas Cohan is the first driver out, and Steven Bixler, he started on pole for this B main, but he ends up 6th and out of the feature.
Absolutely. Also going home tonight will be in 7th place Dan McLaren, 8th Carter Jamison, 9th Jeff Flaro, 10th Jeffrey Kemper, 11th John Rayner Jr., 12th Jeff Barker, Brandon Templeton in 13th, and Brandon Dittmer in 14th.
That was some high drama events there in that B main, but it's nice to see Randy Shreves make it into the final feature of the season for these 360 sprints. I'd like to bring John Hine, our in-race reporter, back in. John, I don't know if you were watching that, but that was some intense heat racing there.
Yeah, this track is just an immaculate condition here. I expect to see a lot of that same kind of racing back and forth here in the feature.
John, based on the track conditions that we see here, you believe guys are going to be able to rip the top. The cushion's not all the way against the wall, but I see you trying to work it out there right now during this practice.
Oh, I'm trying to push it right up to the wall. But, early on here, you can go up here. I've already passed 4 or 5 cars just up here ripping it. So it's fast, and hopefully it, like I said, gets out to the wall.
Now, John, we've seen plenty of instances where, especially down the backstretch, drivers will try to rip right around the outside, and sometimes drivers on the inside, or maybe they're just not quite up at the wall, will actually kind of pinch off a driver unintentionally that's up near the fence. Is that something that's kind of on your mind?
Yeah, just happened to me. A guy kind of not holding a good line down the backstretch, and it's not that they're not holding a good line. This backstretch, mind you, is curved. So someone might all of a sudden want to swing out to try to arc it in the corner. You got somebody making a run on the outside, you're going to clip them. You've just got to have your antenna up and know who's around you and what's going on.
And John, is there really an advantage to using up all of the width of the arc on the backstretch, or is it really just as quick to maybe run like half a car width to a car width away from the wall down the back?
If you're gonna take the bottom or take a slider line, arcing it into the corner, because you can drive into the corner straight, will keep you from scrubbing speed as you come across the track. So yeah, if you're on the bottom, if you're where I'm at, ripping the top here, you want to just try to stay out as far as you can and right up against the wall.
That was our in-race reporter, John Hine. He'll be starting in the middle of the field tonight in 16th place. And as our warm-up session is over with, and we'll be gridding up here for the ABR Setup Shop 360 Sprint Series. This will be a 25-lap feature, and caution laps will not count. So a lot of drivers had to go home from this one, so this is the best of the best that C2C has to offer. It's Stephen Goldner on the pole, and next to him will be Patrick Spangler. Donovan Ross will be third, followed by Bob Evertson in fourth. Preston Kramer rounds out the top five, and next to him is Jamie McCarran. Blake Chapman, our 305 Series champion, will be in seventh. Next to him will be Chris Schaefer. Nick Vickery will be in ninth, and rounding out the top 10 is Chris Berger. And Zach Neubauer will be 11th, and Kyle Moonen will be 12th.
Yeah, starting 13th tonight in the A main is Gary Taylor. 14th, Andy Patton. 15th, Bob DeGood. 16th, in-race reporter John Hine. 17th will be Roger Craig. 18th, Brian Dickens. 19th, Barry Goldner. Alongside him at 20th will be Nick Shell. 21st, Brennan Lacey. 22nd, Mike Cranmer. And our last row of tonight's race, Randy Shreves, the current points leader, starting 23rd with a lot of ground to make up, and alongside him, starting 24th, will be Joe Canellis.
We've seen in the past that drivers starting near the back have at least been able to maybe get up around 10th. And I think that'll be plenty good enough for Randy to win this championship. But so much traffic up ahead. But the good thing is, JR, the track seems racy enough to where he can kind of just go where other drivers aren't and still make up time.
Absolutely, and once the gaps start to open up and guys get a little more single filed out, he's definitely got the speed. Obviously having some bad luck during his heat race, so he's got plenty of speed to be able to work his way through methodically. And like you said, I think getting up to the top 10 should not be a huge deal for him. After that, it's definitely going to get a lot harder to pass.
I'm keeping my eye on Jamie McCarran in the number 211 car. He was pretty quick in his heat race, a driver we haven't seen a whole lot of, but we'll take a look at these 360 sprints here as Stephen Goldner, who's had a really good night so far, will take the lead, and he will take the green flag. But down into turn one, it looks like Patrick Spangler, well, he had an advantage. Oh, and Goldner ends up checking up big time, and he's going to get swallowed by the pack in the middle, really checked up going into turn one.
Yeah, I think he may have actually gotten down close to the inside wall there, and we've actually got a caution on the speedway, Kenny.
Yeah, it was Kyle Moonen up into turn three. He made a rare mistake. Looked like he kind of got loose and shot up into the outside wall and went flying up into the air, and I'm not sure his night might end up being over. That was kind of odd. He kind of whipped the car to the right entering turn three, and then, yeah, hit the outside fence and went flying. A rare mistake from Kyle Moonen. So JR, one thing about that caution is that will actually put Stephen Goldner back to the pole, as we did not complete a lap. So that's a lucky break for the number 30 car.
Yeah, for sure. Having a mistake going into turn one there. Not exactly sure what happened, but looked like he may have either gotten very close to the inside wall or actually touched it a little bit, and that sent him back up the track and killed his momentum. So he was definitely getting past quickly down the back straightaway. But as you said, this puts him back up front. He can start over and try it once again.
And this should be a single file restart for this series. And again, a 25-lap feature, so we got a lot of time left to go yet. As the lights are off on the pace truck, and these guys will line it up. And to anybody who doesn't understand, since this is a league that only counts green flag laps, whenever there's a caution, these guys will always go back to the last completed green flag lap. But since we didn't complete a green flag lap at the start of the race, it goes back to the original starting lineup. So Stephen Goldner able to come back to the first place starting spot here. He will have control of the field. Pace truck dives down into pit road. And here he goes. Stephen Goldner with a pretty good jump there. Patrick Spangler is already a few car lengths behind, and they're fanning out behind him 3 wide into turn 1 and 2 with Ross, Evertson, and Cranmer.
Yeah, Ross getting overtaken by 2 guys going through turns 1 and 2. Just that lower lane having the speed on the start here. Close contact down the front straightaway as they go into 1.
Yeah, and Ross, I think he nailed the outside wall just a little bit there, able to keep it going. I was expecting to see him flip through the air, but it's Cranmer up into P3 with Evertson behind him trying to rip the high line. We remember John Hine talking about the top line earlier. We'll see if that ends up being the race-winning move. Donovan Ross now back outside the top 5 with Blake Chapman, who's moving through the field.
Yep, Chapman continuing to move up, see him working the inside. One of his favorite places to work, but the outside lane is going to continue to get faster here. And we got another caution, Kenny.
Yeah, it looks like on the exit of turn 2, it's Gary Taylor and John Hine. Looks like, Taylor was on the outside, and it looks like John Hine slipped up into him. And those guys both got really tangled up. And I'm not sure that either of them was able to get going because they were both actually stuck up on top of the barrier on the exit of turn 2. Yeah, both of those drivers actually had to go to the pits, so those guys will have to tow out. I think their cars were drivable. They were just unable to drive away off of that barrier, so unfortunate for them too.
Yeah, we'll have to see. With caution laps not counting, they may be able to get back in this race, but of course the question is how much damage do they have, and are they going to be able to overcome that?
For sure, but you have to talk about Blake Chapman already. We saw him making the bottom work, and that's a place like right at the bottom. Guys aren't really trying that so far. He's kind of the only one.
I think it takes a lot of patience, especially in these higher horsepower 360s, to run that bottom lane. You know, typically guys really like to rip it and slide the car into the corner. Chapman's extremely good on the throttle, so he has a lot of throttle control. He's able to use it very, very well down against that inside wall, and that's what it takes, is just being able to consistently do that lap after lap. And he shows it each and every week that he can do that, and as guys continue to run the top, that gives him a lot of options down low to just run his race.
It's also pretty smart too, because the majority of the time when guys are going to wreck, they're going to slide up the track towards the wall, and he's kind of away from that danger. So another advantage to him running that low line. So we'll have to keep an eye on Blake. We'll have to see if the top 3 ahead of him try to run any defensive lines to prevent Blake from making those passes on the bottom. But again, it's Stephen Goldner controlling the field. He'll take the green flag here. And a really good jump again down into turn 1 and 2. Spangler leaves the bottom open, and Preston Cranmer trying to fill that space for second.
Absolutely, Cranmer still looking to the inside as they go into turn 3, trying to do a slide job, not going to be able to clear him. Spangler's able to hold him off of turn 4.
Behind these guys, just outside the top 5, Nicholas Vickery's trying to make the bottom work. He's trying to get by Donovan Ross, and Chris Schaefer also in there in the middle, near contact back there. As we're taking a look at Cranmer right now, those are the top 4 spots. You see him in the background there fanning out. There's a good look. There's Jamie McCarron, the guy I was watching out for, and we have another yellow on track. Looks like it was Mike Cranmer this time. He ended up getting booted out of the way by Kyle Moonen, who's trying to recover from his mishap earlier, and he ends up kind of wall riding up into turn 3, and that luckily lands on his wheels.
Yeah, you don't see a crash like that every day in these cars. So very, very lucky that he was able to climb the wall backwards and then flip over onto his wheels by the time that was all over with. So should be able to continue here. I don't think he'll have too much damage based on how he hit the wall there.
A guy like Kyle Moonen, he started in 12th and he's back in 20th now because of his mishap from earlier. Is that maybe just a product of him just being really antsy trying to get through this field? He's only got less than 20 laps to go, and he's got 20 positions to make up.
Yeah, for sure. If you lose a lot of ground like that early in a race, there's definitely a sense of urgency that comes over you. You know, you got to move back forward as quickly as you can, and
Speaking of urgency to get through the field, Randy Shreves, an update on him, our points leader. He is in 18th. He started in 23rd, so it's been slow progress, but progress nonetheless. He's up 5 positions. And I think this will be good enough for him to win the championship. Nick Vickery is second in the championship, and he is up in 6th at the moment. But, that's a 12 point or a 12 position difference between the two. So I think Shreves will be okay, but we have one more lap here until the field will be unleashed once again, and we'll be on lap 9 to start this green flag run. 25 laps in this feature. Stephen Goldner's done a really good job of getting good jumps on these restarts, and again got really lucky that they didn't complete one lap on the original green. Here we go again. Stephen Goldner ends up flying into turn 1 and 2 with Patrick Spangler in tow, and quick caution again here down in turn 1. Looks like some contact between Brennan Lacey, Chris Berger involved as well, and I think that was Zach Neubauer. Yeah, kind of a pack of about 4 cars there. 5 even. John Hine was late to the party in there in turn 2, and looks like the majority of those cars landed on their wheels and will continue, but JR maybe a little bit of a stack up there in turn 1 on that restart. Oh, it actually looked like maybe Jamie McCarron touching the outside wall kind of checked those guys up, or at least forced a reaction out of Neubauer, which stacked everybody up behind him.
Yeah, any kind of contact with either the wall or another driver is going to slow the momentum of the guys. Guys that are making that contact and everybody behind is going to have to make a quick decision, and sometimes there's just not enough room to do that. And again, on dirt, it's just extremely hard to avoid something like that occurs in front of you.
So Neubauer and Bob DeGood also in the pits there. I believe these guys have a faster pair they can use. They're in there for that. They'll come back out on track. They won't lose any laps, so they'll remain in this thing. And we do have 2 cars that are still on track that are 2 laps down, Gary Taylor and John Hine. Other than that, the other 22 drivers are on track and on the lead lap. We'll come to get the 1 to go here. Stephen Goldner again has pretty much dominated this. He started on the pole. The top 2 actually started where they are at the moment. Spangler started second. He remains there. But Preston Kramer's made up 2 spots. He started 5th and up into 3rd. And I think he does have enough speed to possibly get at least 2nd place.
Yeah, definitely. I think for sure that he can. But again, track conditions are changing. I have to see how things work out here.
For sure they are, and Stephen Goldner takes the green flag, and Spangler is a little bit closer this time. He got a pretty good jump, and this time also Kramer running the top side, trying to follow behind these guys. Looks like a little discrepancy now between the leader and second. Spangler's going to run the high line, and then maybe try to dive underneath of Goldner down into turn 1. He's going to try the slide job. A good slider it is. He clears, but Goldner's going to repeat the feat, and he's going to take the lead back from Spangler. Spangler's all over the rear end of Goldner, and he's unable to make that pass before we get another caution. Looks like this time it was Jamie McCarron down into turn 3. Wow, that was very odd. I see him kind of blinking in and out there. His car just gets really upset in turn 3 and 4, and then the last I see is him flipping. And a few other drivers kind of getting together, but all doing a really good job of avoiding the 211 car.
Yeah, and you could see after that last restart, this race is becoming a lot more racier than probably what it was in the opening laps. These guys know they're about halfway through this race. They're trying to get themselves into a good position to hold the lead in case we have some late race cautions. Because I believe if you're that leader in a last lap or two shootout, that you're probably going to be able to hold the guys off, just because it takes a little bit of time to get the momentum up and going.
Well, I do want to bring that up, though, because Spangler, that was his best restart thus far, and he was actually able to challenge for the lead that time. And it all started because he got a good jump that time. He didn't have to take an extra lap just to get up to Goldner's rear end, so he was actually able to set up a pass basically after one lap instead of after 2 or 3. So that's an interesting thing. We'll see if he can repeat that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm hoping that Goldner is paying attention to that and is making adjustments on these restarts for that reason. But Spangler, I'm sure, is going to make some adjustments as well to try to get an even better run on this restart. So everybody's learning what each other is doing. They're trying to figure out what approach they need to make in these closing laps here.
You remember, Spangler has Cranmer and Chapman behind him, and they've been quite fast all night. Goldner takes control of the field, and he gets a much better restart this time. And in fact, Spangler kind of playing defense here as he's got Cranmer right underneath him and able to get a good run off of turn 2. But we have another quick caution here. Looks like it was in mid-pack again. Andy Patton was involved. Chris Schaefer was involved as well. I'm wondering if maybe a car clipped the inside wall, or at least checked up quite a bit on the bottom in turn 2. Yeah, it was Vickery. He clipped the bottom.
There was a secondary incident on the front stretch too with Brennan Lacey.
Good little report there from our in-race reporter John Hine. It looks like Brennan Lacey is also in the pits, so that definitely took him out. Oh yeah, coming to the green, he got together with Chris Berger. So good eye, John, and that'll take those drivers out of contention potentially. JR, talk about how potentially easy it is to. Here's a look at that replay. Brennan Lacey just kind of dives down, and I don't know if maybe Berger didn't know he was there, or kind of was a coming together, but those two smack into the inside wall. Lacey towed to the pits immediately, and I think Chris Berger's going to remain in the race. But JR, talk about how easy it can be to clip the inside wall here in turn 1 and 2, especially in any car.
Yeah, well, the track, number 1, is changing lap to lap, so you got to be conscious of that. But 2, this track is slickening up even further than what it was earlier in the night, getting into turn 1. So if you get into the corner just a little bit deeper than what you have been, turn that wheel just a little bit more than what you have been, it can over-rotate the car just enough that you get yourself in a bad angle going into turn 1, and once you're at that bad angle, the car is going to naturally drift down and touch that wall. So it's an extremely tricky line to run for sure, but if you can nail it, there's a lot of speed to be had there.
Quick update as we take the green. Randy Shreves is up to 11th place, so good run for him so far. Stephen Goldner has taken the green flag up in first place. Patrick Spangler has separated himself from third place. He's got a little bit of ground to make up, but it's side by side for third behind him. Cranmer didn't get a great jump on the restart, and that's allowed Blake Chapman to attempt to make another pass, but he's unable to do so before we get another caution. It looks like Kyle Moonen with some trouble in turn 3. Another single car accident there, just kind of seemed to just get on edge. Look at that, that's odd.
Yeah, that was odd, almost like he just lost the front end. I'm not sure if it actually went over the cushion on entry there and just pushed up the track, but yeah, definitely odd on how the car took off there.
I want to bring John Hine in real quick. John, is it if you're really hitting your car up against that cushion up top, is it actually easy to turn these cars over on 2 wheels?
Yeah, if you touch the wall, it is, and don't lift. But right now it shouldn't be that hard up there. I've been able to kind of just rip it, with my foot down. But granted, I'm just hanging out here in the back trying to stay out of the lead lap guy's way. But car just popped up out of nowhere. That was weird. Anyway, yeah, if you're up top, you got to be really careful, especially over in 3 and 4. I don't know if you guys got an in-car on me real quick, but when I go into 3 and 4, I'll go over that huge berm in there, and you can watch how much it upsets the car. As we get, it's right below where the NOS energy drink signs are over here. But as you come up here and you get up here, you can almost see me come to it, and you get up here, and it just really throws the car around, and it'll get worse too.
And we do still we'll have 11 laps of green flag racing to go when we take the green this time by. This time, it looked like the leaders were getting away, and Cranmer was actually playing defense on Chapman. They were side by side at the line before that caution came out, but Chapman was unable to take that spot. So here we go again. We'll see if we can get some green flag racing in here. Goldner's been pretty good on these restarts. We'll see what he does this time. He's running around the bottom side this time. There he goes, green flag to Goldner, and he is able to stretch out a decent gap, and Spangler's able to clear into second place. And again, it's a side-by-side battle for third.
Absolutely, Chapman looking to the inside here, trying to get some momentum down on the bottom of the track. You can see the car moving around back and forth. It's very slick down there for sure, but he's one of the best at trying to make that work.
And behind him, I think Bob Evertson might have hit the inside wall just a little bit, and Nick Vickery behind him. Remember, he's second place in our 360 sprint points. He's trying to make up as many spots as he can. And those guys are side by side trying to battle for a top 5, but it looks like Blake Chapman has cleared into third place. Watch for him to maybe charge up towards the lead as Spangler is diving for the lead with a huge slide job. The leaders are side by side.
Continuing side by side through 1 and 2, looks like Goldner's going to get that lead back at the moment, but Spangler crosses him over down the back straightaway.
Yeah, the leaders taking turns with slide jobs. Oh, they're nearly getting together, and they do get together. It's a wreck. Chapman's involved. Oh, and the rest of the drivers are coming through. This could be big.
It's big. Top 3 drivers taken out in that incident, Kenny.
Oh, and we look at the replay here. You see these guys they both kind of seem just out of control. Spangler really was trying to rip the top there, and how unlucky for Blake Chapman there as Goldner spun right down into Chapman's path. Nothing he could do about it. And looked like a couple other drivers also involved. Brian Dickens was involved. It looks like Stephen Goldner, obviously, he was involved. Nicholas Schell came by and made heavy contact as well. But yeah, Goldner, he's done. I mean, that just like that, the complexity of this race is totally different.
Yeah, things can change extremely fast in these dirt races, and the one thing to bring up, we had a lot of cautions back to back to back right there, and when you have stuff like that go on, it can really change the tempo of the race, and that could have affected, don't know for sure, just speculating, that could have affected the top guys there running. Like you said, Kenny, looked like they were right on the edge trying to run hard, and if you just get out of your rhythm just a little bit, a small mistake can cause a big mess.
Well, they did get to the point where they were trading slide jobs, and I think with it being kind of later in the race and, like you said, running kind of some short runs, I think the anxiousness was there to where these guys just didn't want to give, and they wanted to get that lead as quickly as possible because they feared that another caution was coming, but they didn't realize it was going to be themselves. However, we're about to take the green flag. This will be interesting. Blake Chapman is the leader, but he has no wing on his nose, and I'm not sure exactly how negatively that'll affect him. We'll have to see what he's got, but he is going to have control of the field here with 7 laps to go. Here he goes, and he's going to take the green flag and dive down into turn 1 with his damaged race car, but so far so good as Preston Cranmer now up at the top in second, but Bob Evertson's going to clear into second.
Yeah, very surprised Chapman being able to hold on without that front wing, doing a fantastic job at the moment. Continuing to watch up front here as Preston Cranmer's working outside there. But you can see Chapman starting to stack everybody up just a little bit, probably not as much downforce as what he needs in these higher horsepower cars.
Yeah, and I don't know if maybe he might have some engine damage too. I mean, he had a heavy impact there as we have a possible pass for the lead here. Preston Cranmer ripping the outside. We got 3 wide behind him between Vickery, Ross, and I think that was Shreves, as we have another caution on the racetrack, and it looks like it's Mike Cranmer just had a lazy spin into turn 1. Take a look here. It's Cranmer, and I think it was Gary Taylor behind him, just gave him a little nudge and spun him around. But look at all of a sudden, we have Blake Chapman actually still the leader. He was the leader last time by the start-finish line, and you got to think for him that is a huge thing for him to have cautions to actually stack the field back up so he can have that advantage of at least having a jump to be able to lead for at least a couple more laps.
Yeah, it's interesting with the wing damage on the very front. That could allow him to have a faster first lap, just not having that downforce to slow him down while the car's trying to get the momentum going. Because we saw him actually able to pull away a little bit there. It was the second and third lap where guys really started to close in on him. So the more cautions we have here, if he can just get 1 to 2 lap runs, he has a shot to win this race without that wing.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point because he was able to get that jump and run away a little bit, and it took him a few laps before Preston Cranmer was able to catch up. And I do think it is smart of Cranmer to run the top side and use the momentum and the power of his car to his advantage. But he's going to need at least a couple laps, I'd say, to make that advantage up. I just don't think that Chapman also, I don't think he's able to really wrap the bottom like he could, because his car just doesn't seem to be handling like it was.
No, it doesn't. You could see him going to turn 1. He tried to run the bottom, actually hit the bottom the way he needed to, but the car just would not stick through the apex of the corner, and he washed up a little bit. So definitely ill handling now that he does not have that wing, but he's going to continue to hope for some quick cautions here to finish out this race.
Coming by to the green here, we will have 4 laps to go. Blake Chapman needs to get a good jump here, and he does get a decent one. He's got a couple car length advantage over Preston Cranmer, who's been up front all night long. Cranmer right on the rear end of Blake Chapman. We see in the background there Randy Shreves making a move, or holding on to 5th place with Donovan Ross behind him. It's 3 wide for the lead. Oh, and it's a huge wreck up in front. That's going to take out a bunch of leaders again. Wow, we're going to have to find out who was involved in that, because Cranmer was involved, obviously. Oh man, and Evertson was involved. Chapman was involved. Look at this, was a huge mess. Shreves was involved, our championship leader.
He was involved. I don't know how hard he hit that inside wall there. I don't know how much that's knocked out his toe, if any at all. If not, he's gotten away pretty unscathed. The car itself looks good.
Boy, and one driver who actually made it through, I wish we should go on board actually with Nicholas Vickery if we can, the number 00 car. He made an awesome dodge from about 4th place to get by that wreck, I think completely clean. And remember, he is 2nd place in points, and I'm not sure if he'll be the leader. Here's a look at Nick Vickery riding on board. Watch this. Look at him snake through the middle there and kept his foot in the gas. Great move from him.
Yeah, very, very heads-up racing there. Great move.
Big thanks to our director, Mikey Alfred, picking up that angle for us. But we'll see how it shuffles out here, because remember, it goes back to the last completed green flag lap. And we'll have 2 laps to go when we take the green. There's a bunch of cars in the pits now. This race has just been crazy.
It absolutely has been. Since halfway, a lot of things have changed. A couple of incidences up front have rearranged the running order for sure, and you see Blake Chapman continuing to be in the lead after that contact. It looks like, it's hard to tell, Kenny, but it looks like he is extremely towed out now, not only not having the front wing, but also having some steering damage there.
So it looks like Nick Vickery is 2nd here, and he could be poised for a victory here. Randy Shreves, our points leader, is still out there. He's looks like he's in about 6th place. Not sure about the health condition of his car, or really anybody in the top 5 for that matter. But how about Roger Craig has now popped up into the top 3 all of a sudden after all that carnage, and we'll see here. Blake Chapman will bring everybody down. The lights are still on the pace truck though, so we'll have at least. Oh, actually, no, I'm behind. Sorry, we're green already. Chapman down into turn 3 with Vickery behind him here. We'll take the white flag, And Chapman running the top side with Vickery chasing in behind.
Yep, Vickery looking to the outside, trying to rip the top of turns 1 and 2. Going to get a big run down the back straightaway here and get possibly to the outside of Chapman.
Chapman running a defensive middle line. Oh, Vickery with a mistake. And it looks like Blake Chapman will come away with the victory here. With Nicholas Vickery in second and Roger Craig rounds out the top 3. I apologize for not catching the initial start there. I was watching some replays, but Blake Chapman, how about the perseverance he has shown to bring a damaged car home in victory lane?
That was extremely impressive for sure. I know there was some contact on that one caution, but yeah, great job by him.
So we have the full results here. Blake Chapman is your victor, with Nicholas Vickery in second. Roger Craig 17th to 3rd tonight, and 4th place will go to Nicholas Schell. 5th place will be Andy Patton, and Bob DeGood will be 6th. Chris Berger in 7th. Barry Goldner will be 8th. Randy Shreves does fall down to 9th, but I believe he will be our champion in the 360 sprints. And the final car on the lead lap was Joe Canellis in 10th. Lots of attrition in this one. 11th place will be Patrick Spangler, who was so fast in the first half of this race, and Zach Neubauer ends up 12th.
Yeah, coming home in 13th tonight is Bob Effertson. 14th, Preston Cranmer. 15th is Gary Taylor. John Hine comes home in 16th. 17th, Chris Schaefer. 18th place tonight will be Mike Cranmer. 19th place tonight will be Donovan Ross. Stephen Goldner comes home in 20th. Brian Dickens in 21st. Kyle Moon in 22nd. And 23rd being Brennan Lacey, followed by Jamie McCarron coming home in last place tonight in 24th.
And now I'm really excited to do this interview. We are talking with our winner tonight, Blake Chapman. Blake, you that was not a very orthodox victory, but you got it done.
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy race, I'll tell you that. When I got my nose wing taken off there for the first time, I thought I was done. But then, other crashes happened and cautions came out, and I was able to barely hold on to it at the end. So I think this is my first time winning a race with no nose wing. So, I'll take it, that's for sure.
Yeah, talk about how bad was your car there at the end. It looked like you were kind of struggling to wrap the bottom, and maybe you just didn't have the speed anymore in general. You had a heavy hit on your front end.
Yeah, definitely. You could tell the track was really slicked off, and with no nose wing, it's really hard to control the car, and I tried my best. I was fighting it, and I still don't know how I won that race, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Now, before that, though, you were, of course, running the bottom, which is something we've been accustomed to seeing you do. Do you think that that was going to be the race-winning move? If we could have had maybe some more green flag runs, do you think the bottom was going to prevail?
Yeah, I think it went away there at the end in 1 and 2. It definitely was there for the first couple of laps or so, but it wasn't there in 3 and 4 at all. So I either had to be in the middle or up top in 3 and 4, and maybe I could have done something on the bottom in 1 and 2 if I got a really good run, but I doubt it.
Well, it's been a great night for you. You won the 305 sprint feature and the championship, and won this feature and got top 5 in the points in the 360s as well. Who do you have to thank for your run tonight?
Yeah, I got to thank parents, grandparents, sister, Steve Bixler, anybody who watches and supports. I got to thank my team, K&M Racing Team and Great Sim Racing, and check out Galen's Popcorn if you're looking for some delicious popcorn, and use code CART. That's code CART at checkout for 15% off of any purchase. And of course, I got to thank you guys for putting this on.
Thanks for talking to us, Blake, and congratulations.
Thank you.
That was our winner tonight in the second feature, Blake Chapman. And J.R. Shepard has caught up with our second place in both the race and in the points, Nick Vickery.
Absolutely. Nick, you come home in second place tonight. Congratulations on that. Looks like you started in ninth and just kind of methodically worked your way through the field. Talk us through those late race cautions and what was going on in your mind there.
Yeah, I don't really know if it was methodically or just being lucky. I've got the broadcast pulled up on one of my other monitors, and I heard you guys go on board with me there under that. I think it was the last caution there. And yeah, I think sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
I can agree with you on that for sure. Been in a few situations like that myself, but nevertheless, looked great on camera being able to avoid that carnage that happened on the front stretch. Talk us through track conditions a little bit. We saw it be completely different than what we're usually used to in the 305s here. How did the 360s develop as far as where the racing group moved around?
Yeah, honestly, I've struggled all year here at Evolution, the 360s. The top side, once it crosses that ridge around the outside of the corners, it's such a weird feeling. It's the only way I can describe it. But the top was fast. If you could get in there, 3 and 4 got a little treacherous there with that bump. A couple of times I slapped it and had to ease off the gas a lot coming off turn 4. So definitely got lucky there as well. But the bottom's always been fast. I think here in the 360s, and Blake likes to run the bottom, and I knew early race I was following him on the bottom, so I knew that he was going to be on the bottom. Then there at the end, I knew his car was damaged, so I knew if I could get enough momentum on the top, I might be able to get around him. And going into 3 on that last lap, I knew he was going to throw a slider, so I tried to apex the corner really early and try to dime in the back half of the corner, and just got too high and got into that cushion and wasn't able to do anything. But overall, it was a good race as long as you could stay out of trouble.
Absolutely, a lot going on, especially up front that we're not used to seeing, and you did a great job of avoiding all of that for sure. Again, congratulations on a second place run tonight, finishing second in the points in these 360s. Tell us who you'd like to thank for tonight in this season's run.
Yeah, I got to thank Spartan Racing first off. After that will be SBGC 3D Printing. If anybody there has any 3D printing needs, definitely go check out Mr. Tom Taylor over on Facebook. VMR Wraps, if anybody there needs a wrap, come check us out on Facebook at VMR E-Wraps. Mirror Image Auto Spa, my wife for letting me do this. Roger and Preston for keeping the show rolling and already planning for next year. And of course, you guys for putting on a great show.
Hey, we appreciate it, man. Thank you, Nick, for those kind words. And again, congratulations on your run.
All right, thanks, guys.
That was Nick Vickery, our second place finisher tonight. Now I'm going to catch up with Roger Craig, our third place finisher. Roger, 17th place to third tonight. Congratulations, man. Great run.
Yeah, thanks, man. That was, they're dropping like flies tonight. Anybody that knows me is, I don't even know if I passed a car. I think I passed a couple of cars, and Blake Chapman, he kept getting caught in those wrecks, and then he must have had a rabbit's foot because he kept passing me going back, and he just have less moving parts every time he went by.
It's definitely odd seeing how some of the things worked at the end of that race there, and of course we'd see some guys with a lot of damage still getting their positions back because it reverts back to the last lap. So yeah, definitely odd to see on screen, but yeah, you did a great job avoiding all that. Talk us through track conditions. Did anything change this week compared to the previous weeks that kind of worked to your advantage?
I think there was a huge car count tonight. It was a great car count. There was like 10 in that B main and only 4 made it, and so the track wear was more than we've normally seen. And basically, I just stuck to the bottom. I was running fairly consistent laps, just staying out of trouble. I mean, that was the main thing. Most of the wrecks were happening high, and I was staying out of trouble. That was the secret, and got me a podium.
Absolutely. Well deserved, man. Great run tonight for sure. And you guys have put on a great show this season. Tell us who you'd like to thank for your season.
Oh, well, I got to thank all the guys at Can-Am Racing Team for sure. They're just a great bunch of guys. We have every day's belly laughs in the room and stuff. So, we're kind of known as the back of the pack mafia, as most of the guys in the room. My portion of the Can-Am Racing Team. So I want to thank them, Malcolm Mills, Mill Writing, Cool Ray, Super Dirt Car, I can't thank those guys enough. And I'm in the next session, and we are going to 410s. We're going to run some 410s next season, as long as we got car counts. Well, I'm going to have to fight to make the feature tonight because we've got more than 24 cars. So that's awesome. Should be a great race.
Absolutely, man. That's awesome to hear. Look forward to watching it. Again, congratulations on that run, man. Good third place finish.
Yeah, thanks a lot, buddy. And you guys are doing a great job. Thanks for the broadcast.
Hey, we appreciate the kind words, Roger, for sure. That was Roger Craig, our third place finisher tonight, the Bass Man. And now I believe Kenny is going to catch up with our 360 champion for the season, Randy Shreves.
Yeah, we're down here in Coolray Victory Lane for the season. That's Randy Shreves, our champion. Randy, it's probably not how you drew it up tonight, but it shows why the hard work you put in through the whole season mattered so much. You had a points lead that you could kind of use as a buffer tonight, but talk about your race, man. We were watching you, following you through the LCQs, and you were doing a fine job making the best of what you had.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough night all night. Had some bad luck in the heat. Some people making mistakes, and I got caught up in it. And in the B main, I actually really didn't think I was even going to make the show. Got through that, made it to the feature, and then found the top side there at the end. I was passing a lot of cars. I think I made it up to 4th or 5th, and then there was a caution up front. Kind of got caught up in it. And, my car was just junk after that. I was trying to, complete my perfect top five season. Tonight was my only one not in the top 5, but still in the top 10, so can't complain. And overall, I still pulled off the championship, and I am super happy about that. I've been trying for seasons to get this done. Finally get one of them cool plaques.
Yeah, you really showed the consistency through the season. Did it help? Having this be the Hometown Heroes series, where you're going to one track every night. Does it help going to one track every single week, or specifically, did you think coming into this season that Volusia being that track was going to fall into your wheelhouse?
Volusia's always been one of my favorite tracks, and to see it come to Hometown Heroes definitely made me feel pretty confident coming into the season. But yeah, it's also one of them tracks though where you don't know what the line's going to do, and it's different every time. So it's not like you're just running the same track over and over. It's the same track, but it's just not the same condition every time. You got to figure that out.
We had obviously a great season in the 360s. As the champion, who do you have to thank for your championship run?
For sure, I definitely got to thank the guys back at LGR Motorsports, Alex Bergeron at ABR Setup Shop, Coulter West at Redline Race Designs, One Wish Foundation Wraps and Stitches, KSB Builders, Finish Line Repair, CD Cinematography, Virtual Network for broadcast, and you guys just do an awesome job. Everybody at Coast to Coast for putting on the league, all the admins, everybody that makes it possible, and everybody for watching.
Thanks, Randy, and we'll catch you later. Are you planning on running the 410s?
Yeah, I'm going to give that a shot. I'm actually
Awesome.
Getting ready to go practice here in a few. All
Awesome. We look forward to watching you. Thanks for talking with us.
right, thank you.
That was Randy Shreves, our championship victor in the 360 sprints, but we have one more event left to come here tonight to end the Coast to Coast Racing League Hometown Heroes season. It's kind of a preview for next season, and that will be some 410 sprints. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back to Volusia in a moment.
in our industry.
The lifetime parts and labor warranty is pretty awesome. Basically, all the parts are covered, the labor and everything.
When we say lifetime, we mean lifetime, and it's supported with money-back guarantees. And with that, you're getting all qualified technicians that are going to ensure that this job is done perfectly and operates perfectly throughout the life of the unit.
Learn more about our Coolray lifetime parts and labor warranty at Coolray.com. Coolray and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
We are back to the Coast to Coast Racing League from Virtual Grip Network, placed in Volusia for the Hometown Heroes, the final week of the season. But the points have been paid out to the two events, the 305s and the 360s. Now it's time for a preview for C2C's next season. They will feature 410 sprints. Take a look at some of the weather and conditions here at this 4/10 of a mile racetrack here at Volusia Speedway Park. But JR, we're in the 410 sprints now. Unprecedented amounts of power in these cars.
Absolutely, nearly 900 horsepower in these guys. So if we thought throttle control was important in the last race, we're going to have to really watch these guys in this one. I think the track's going to get tore up really quick. That lane, or that groove, is going to move around a lot during these heat races into the A-main.
This is the quick pre-race show presented by the Pitside Podcast, and it'll be a 30-lap feature tonight for these 410s, but other than that, the procedures should be about the same as a regular C2C Hometown Heroes event. And it all starts out with qualifying. 2 laps of qualifying. Drivers have 3 minutes to put down their laps, and we should expect to see drivers up to half a second faster than the 360s were. Just astonishing amounts of speed here. It'll be interesting to see what line these drivers try to get that speed going, as the track usage right now at 15%.
Yeah, you can see a lot of over-rotation there, Kenny, getting into turn 1 that we're watching on the screen from these guys that are currently out there. Definitely going to be slick. Definitely going to be a handful. I mean, these cars are beasts. They just so much horsepower that you're trying to get converted to the ground there with those big right rear tires.
Well, the more things are different, the more they are the same. Randy Shreves and Blake Chapman right now are the top 2 times at a 13.129 and a 13.137. I'd like to bring in real quick our in-race reporter, John Hine, who's at a 13.355 at the moment, which is a mid-pack time. But John, we're in the 410s now, which you would probably classify as a real race car.
Yeah, and I just realized I had my wings set for the last practice there, and that probably cost me 2/10. But yeah, this is a lot faster. You look at the quick time, the last one, Goldner hit it with a 13, maybe like an 8.2. Here we are at a 13.12. Throttle control is going to be key. In fact, in these, man, I don't think you'll get past maybe 60% throttle in the feature. Anything more than that, you'll be spinning your tires.
John, you brought up the question that I was going to ask you. What kind of wing settings do you have to run in these cars compared to, say, the 360s because of the extra horsepower they're having to deal with?
In the heat, I'll run the same. I'll push it forward as far as I can. Once I get into the feature, I'll adjust on it more than I do in the 360. My guess is just judging on what the track speed is doing, I might start at it with maybe a -6, -7, but by the end of the race, I'll probably have it all the way in the back at that -10. So I will be adjusting on it. Probably, my guess is probably every maybe 5 to 6 laps.
Well, John, good luck to you tonight in this. Nearly a full field here. 24, they'll make the feature. So this will be interesting here as we're about 5 seconds away from ending qualifying. Patrick Spangler stole the top spot at a 13.105. And this first heat race presented by Super Dirt Car Series is coming up. And it's going to be Andy Patton on the pole for heat race number 1. Again, the top 4 qualifying in this heat are inverted. Dan McLaren is second, Donovan Ross will be third, and Patrick Spangler will be fourth.
Yeah, starting 5th in this heat race is Bob DeGood, 6th place Barry Goldner, and 7th place will be Roger Craig.
Now, us personally, we have not really watched a whole lot of 410 sprint racing from these guys at C2C, and so it's kind of, at least from a broadcast standpoint, kind of an even playing field where not sure exactly what to expect here.
No, completely new to us for sure. We'll have to see how these guys handle this extra horsepower and the changing track conditions throughout the night. And normally these are the cars that the field will really spread out pretty quick, but you're able to make big gains on guys also. So just very, very tricky to drive these cars. We'll talk to John throughout the night and see how those conditions change.
I'd actually like to talk to John right now. John, in these heats, do you have an idea of which line might be preferred, or you think you can make progress either on the top or the bottom?
This first heat, maybe first couple laps on the bottom, but then you're going to want to migrate up and run right up on that, where the cushion is right now. Not all the way up against the wall, but where the light and the dark is situated.
And remember, the track state is started at 15% from qualifying and will carry on throughout the event here. And since we have about a full field of cars, this track will get really worn in as the night goes on. So here we go. It's the final pace lap of this first heat race. And I'm excited here to watch these guys go at it. Spangler's been fast. He was really fast in the 360s. We'll see if he can replicate that speed in the 410s. Pace truck, Steve King Foundation pace truck wraps around turn 3 and 4 one last time. And we'll take the green flag here with Andy Patton on pole. There he goes. He jumps. He has a pretty good jump. He's able to clear into turn 1. You can just visibly see the speed difference compared to the other sprints that we've seen all night long. Dan McLaren there trying to grab second place. Oh, and a possible spin there. That was Donovan Ross who got loose. And remember, no cautions in these heat races, and that's going to spread the field out.
Yes, it will. Only the top 4 will advance from this race, so Donovan Ross definitely had a big disadvantage. One guy getting into the wall, I believe that was Patrick Spangler.
It was. The fastest qualifier. Spangler has killed his race. He just got really loose in 3 and 4 and maybe clipped the inside wall, and then that in turn made him clip the divider entering the pit lane and spun him around with damage. So he's basically out of it now. And we're looking ahead now to Bob DeGood, who is in the final transfer spot in that 4th place, and he's kind of all on his island all by himself.
Yeah, he's in a great spot at the moment. Just kind of needs to keep distance between the guy in front and the guy behind, and he'll be sitting pretty in the next couple of laps for sure. And looks like he may be able to do that.
Now Barry Goldner, the orange car up ahead of him, is the highest mover or biggest mover in this heat race. He's up from 6th to 3rd. We have 2 laps to go in this heat race now, and it's the battle for the lead's closing in a little bit. Dan McLaren trying to close in on Andy Patton by just a bit. You're still watching Bob DeGood here, who's solidly in that 4th spot. We'd come to take the white flag. I want to take a look at the battle for the lead as it's getting closer. Dan McLaren really closing in on Andy Patton. We'll see if he makes a move down to turn 3 and 4. Patton drives the middle of the track, and he will hold on to win this first heat race. Dan McLaren second, Barry Goldner third, and Bob DeGood fourth.
Yep, and the guys not transferring out of this heat race into the A main will be Roger Craig, Donovan Ross, and Patrick Spangler, your pole sitter. So those guys will have to go to a B main to try to make it in.
And I do think that I'm pretty sure that everybody's going to make this feature. We'll have to see when the B main lines up, but that's a rough start for Spangler as he'll lose all that track position nonetheless. But here's heat race number 2 presented by Pet Partners. Terry Landis is on pole, and next to him will be Nicholas Vickery. We saw him have a lot of speed in the 360s. Joe Canellis will be third, and Randy Shreves, our 360 champion, will be in fourth.
Yes, starting 5th in this heat race will be Chris Schaefer, Jeffrey Kemper in 6th place, and Chris Berger will be starting in 7th.
And Randy Shreves obviously showing he's got quite a bit of speed here in these 410s. Fastest qualifier out of this second group, second fastest qualifier overall. See if he can make up some spots here, and hopefully for Terry Landis' sake, well, actually it was Spangler was the pole sitter, was the fastest qualifier, and he had the bad luck. But last heat race, Andy Patton was on pole for the heat, and he ended up winning. So Terry Landis is hoping for that same outcome.
Yep, the opportunity's there for sure with all of these guys that get inverted from qualifying into the heat races, so we'll see how it plays out and if they're able to pull that off.
Yeah, track position's definitely a powerful thing in these short heat races. I do like seeing the invert, though, to see if the fast guys can make up a few spots in the short amount of time that they have. But here we go, around turn 3 and 4 to take the green flag for this second heat race. Terry Landis on pole. He hasn't raced at all tonight, so we'll see if that plays into his hands or gives him a disadvantage at all. Landis dives down into turn 1. Oh, he clips inside wall. Will drive up the track. Smart driving there by Randy Shreves to check up and avoid him. And that's going to allow the new leader to be Nicholas Vickery as we complete lap 1.
Absolutely, Vickery taking the lead there. You see Randy Shreves having to check up, but now getting by Terry Landis going into turn 1 and 2. Landis continuing to work the bottom of the track.
And Joe Canellis has settled into second place. That was really heads-up driving by Shreves. Knew he had enough time to make up enough spots to get into the automatic transfer spot and didn't destroy any cars in doing so. Shreves now settled into third, looking for second place. He's looking pretty quick here, and Terry Landis started first and is down to the final transfer spot.
Absolutely. Tight race for that final transfer spot between Landis and Kemper. Looks like Kemper actually lost some ground that last lap. We're looking up front here. Shreves taking over the second place from Joe Canellis.
Interesting to see if Shreves can actually make up enough time to make a move on Vickery. He's got 3 laps to do so. A decently close battler was. Chris Schaefer was going after Jeffrey Kemper for 5th, but that is subsided, and now Kemper's actually running down Landis for that final transfer spot you see in the background as we're 2 laps to go, and Landis is being attacked now by Kemper.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be tight with this group back here for that final transfer spot. You actually got 3 cars on this final lap here that are going to go after it.
Yeah, 1 lap to go now, and Kemper maybe lost a little bit of time in 1 and 2, and now he might get attacked by Chris Schaefer, which will prevent him from going on the offense. But the winner of this heat is going to be Nicholas Vickery, followed by Randy Shreves, Joe Canellis, and Terry Landis holds on to get 4th.
And not being able to transfer so far out of this race is Jeffrey Kemper in 5th, Chris Schaefer in 6th, Chris Berger coming home in 7th. They will have to go to the B main.
Heat race number 3 presented by World of Sports podcast. It's John Hine on pole with Kyle Moonen starting next to him, Jack Clevenger in 3rd, and Blake Chapman, our 305 champion. And a double feature winner tonight will start 4th.
Yeah, in 5th place will be Brian Dickens. Alongside him in 6th will be Nick Shell, and rounding out the field in this heat race will be Bob Curtis starting 7th.
Looks like Kyle Moonen, there he goes. He just now gridding up. So these guys will take a little bit of time to pace around here. But Jared, what are your thoughts here after a couple heat races?
The track's definitely racy. You can see guys be able to make a lot of moves. And the thing that I like about these 410s is that you can lose ground and make it right back up in a couple of laps. So it gives the drivers a lot of options. You definitely see the driver come into play more in these cars because they're tricky to handle for sure. And we can talk to John a little bit after this race probably and see what his thoughts are on the track conditions. But I really think it's allowing the guys that have experience and are really, really good drivers to be able to shine here.
Yeah, I think at this point it's not so much of picking which lane is fast, but which lane is comfortable and where you're able to just kind of drive your car and go from there. We've seen a lot of variety in the lines. We'll be interested to see as this track wears out. You may be forced to run a different line in order to go fast. But so far, we've seen quite a lot of action on the racetrack, and John Hine will be pole sitter for this third heat. Again, top four will transfer automatically to the feature. Some really fast drivers in this heat, though, with Hine, Moonen, and Chapman specifically.
Yep, be a great race to show what's to come.
Here we go, taking the green flag. John Hine will set off, and it's a pretty even start between him and Moonen. Hine driving the slider line into 1 and 2. Ooh, nearly 3 to 4 wide there on the exit of 2. And it looks like one driver got the short end of the stick there. That's Jack Clevenger, who spun around on the backstretch. Side by side now is Kyle Moonen and John Hine. Hine goes for the slider again, maybe clip the inside wall, loses all of his momentum, and Moonen will clear into the lead.
Absolutely. Chapman also going by, trying to do a slide job on John going into turns 3 and 4. He pulls it off. He's now into second position. John will try to get him back coming off turn 2 here.
Boy, and these guys had to actually dodge a tipped over Jack Clevenger. He was trying to recover after his spin there. Not sure what was going on, but they're all able to get away with it. Luckily, all these drivers saw him up at the top of the track and didn't run into him.
Yeah, great job by everybody there. You actually see Blake Chapman making an inside move on Moonen going into turn 3 here. Chapman, one of the best at the bottom, continuing to show that.
Yeah, that is impressive. They're really driving the bottom like he owns it. I mean, he just really wrapped the bottom and didn't even really have to do a slide job. Just drove his line, and he is pulling away. We're on lap 6 of 8. Moonen holding on to second. Hine in third in the final transfer spot. Brian Dickens, who's he's in the background there all by himself.
Yeah, and this is some great racing. You're seeing the top 3 all run different grooves around this track, and they're all making them work. So, yeah, just great job, everybody here. And it looks like track conditions are pretty nice.
It looked like John Hine got a little bit out of shape again into turn 1, maybe clipped the inside wall again. I think he'll be okay to transfer, at least. He's in third place as we take the white flag. And look at this. It's been a dominant performance by Blake Chapman. He will come around and win this heat race number 3, followed by Kyle Moonen, John Hine, and Brian Dickens will be the final transfer spot.
Yeah, coming home in 5th will be Nick Shell, Bob Curtis in 6th. And 7th place, Jack Clevenger, having some issues there. Those guys will have to go to the B main.
And we have one more heat to go here, heat number 4, presented by Maurer Farm Management. It's Jamie McCarron on pole. Next to him will be Jeffrey Barker. Bob Evertson will start next to Stephen Goldner in row 2.
Yeah, starting 5th will be Brandon Templeton. 6th place is Mike Cranmer. And rounding out the field in this heat race is Brennan Lacey in the 7th position, who has shown some speed tonight.
He has. He has not qualified for a single event, but he's been able to race into the show every time and has shown speed in all 3 servers. So we'll be watching out for him. But some other fast guys that ran up front in some of the other events tonight, Bob Evertson and Stephen Goldner, maybe looking for some redemption here.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're wanting to end the night on a high note. So like you alluded to earlier in the night, when you run multiple races, you can have a bad race and still come off with a follow-up good race after that to not have the night be a total loss for you. So it's definitely a good opportunity for these guys to try to get something good rolling here.
And this isn't for points, so don't you think these guys they're just going to experiment and get ready for next season, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a test race, so everybody's filling these cars out, filling out what track conditions are in these cars, and they're here to have fun. There's no points, like you said, no money on the line, so they're just pure racing here, trying to enjoy it and get everything they can out of the car.
And again, this is a kind of a preview for the next season for the Hometown Heroes, but I don't think the track has been revealed yet, so I doubt it will be Volusia, but these guys are out here having some fun, at least filling the cars out, if nothing else. So Jamie McCarran here will have control of the field in this final heat race. Again, 8 laps, 4 will automatically transfer to the feature event. Last heat was really good, very competitive. So we'll look for more of the same here. Here we go. Jamie McCarran takes the green flag, a really good jump. And it's side-by-side in row 2 between Jeffrey Barker and Bob Evertson.
Absolutely. Jeffrey Barker coming off of turn 2 in second place. We see the guys going almost 3 wide into turn 3 here.
Yeah, Barker actually lost a bunch of ground on that first lap. He's back into 6th place now after starting second. Didn't really lose control or anything, just wasn't quick there that first lap. Steven Goldner trying a slide job to get into second. He's battling with Bob Evertson. Oh, a little bit of contact in the background, and that was Brennan Lacey who's gone for a tumble, so I don't think he's going to automatically transfer out of this heat. Jamie McCarran comes around still leading this race with Goldner in second, Evertson third, and Templeton holding on to fourth.
Yeah, well, a big shake-up at the beginning of this race for sure. People moving around quite a bit, showing that these cars are extremely hard to handle. You can see the cars moving back and forth as they're spinning the rear tires up off the corners here.
And Barker was trying to get back at Templeton to grab that 4th place away. He still hasn't really gone away. This is the closest battle on track at the moment. Side by side off of turn 4. Actually, now we got a battle for the lead. Goldner out of nowhere has just flown by Jamie McCarran to take the lead.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. These cars are very nice. You can lose a lot of time and then make it up extremely fast if you know the line to run, and these guys are showing that. Continuing to watch Jamie McCarran here in second place, along with Bob Evertson. They're working the top of the track, but Goldner takes the white flag.
Goldner has taken the white, and he has really stretched out his lead here. He was the fastest qualifier out of this group. He will come around. He will win heat race number 4. Jamie McCarran holds on for second. Bob Evertson in third, and Brandon Templeton just barely holds on to Jeffrey Barker, who made a nice charge there at the end after a slow start, but narrowly made it in.
Definitely there at the back, close racing. So Jeff Barker not transferring in, but showing that he's one of the guys that also looks like he can run that bottom lane. So hopefully we'll see him in the A main later tonight. Mike Cranmer and Brennan Lacey also having to go to that B main.
So we will go to the B main presented by Chip Bangers Racing, and there will be some drivers that will go home from this. It's a 12-car field, and 8 will transfer. So on pole is Roger Craig. Next to him will be Jeffrey Kemper. Nicholas Schell in third with Jeffrey Barker next to him in fourth. Donovan Ross will be in fifth with Chris Schaefer in sixth. JR.
7th place will be Bob Curtis. 8th is Mike Cranmer. 9th is Patrick Spangler. Alongside him will be Chris Berger in 10th place. Jack Clevenger will start 11th. Alongside him in 12th position will be Brennan Lacey rounding out this field for your B main.
So, JR, I have my eye on 2 cars, and that's Brennan Lacey and Patrick Spangler, both starting on the outside looking in, and both very fast drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are 2 guys that have the speed to get in. They just need a little bit of luck on their side. They obviously had some mishaps in their heat races, but they're more than capable of being able to run up front here. We do have a few extra laps, 10 laps in this heat race. Gives these guys a little more time to kind of work over some guys, and if you're starting 12th, you only need to gain 4 spots, and I definitely think that Patrick Spangler is one of them that can do that.
Remember, no cautions in the B main either, so if there's any wrecks, that could take drivers out of contention. But Roger Craig will control the field here. Remember, he got third place in our last race in the 360s. He'll bring the field around turn 3 and 4. Starting next to him will be Jeffrey Kemper. And here we go. B main is started. Roger Craig with a pretty good start down into turn 1. He is clear, and a near challenge for second place. Nicholas Schell tried to stick his nose in there. It's actually going to cause him to lose a spot to Donovan Ross here on lap 1.
Absolutely, Nick Schell having the check up there. Donovan Ross pulls off the third position and is now hunting for second place using that bottom line through 1 and 2.
Oh, and Brennan Lacey, some bad luck for him as he ends up, had some contact with Mike Cranmer and spears into the inside wall. That's probably going to do it for his chances of making it into the feature. But Donovan Ross now into the lead pretty solidly here.
Absolutely, continuing to open up that gap each and every turn here. Oh, we see some contact between second and third place there.
Yeah, and Roger Craig still going strong in second place. That's going to actually give him a pretty decent gap, but it's going to stack up Nick Schell, Chris Berger, and Jeffrey Kemper. Remember, all these guys are solidly in, but it's the battle behind them that's a little closer. You got Schaefer, Barker, and Clevenger 3 wide down the backstretch. Contact with them. And they all keep it going, but it looks like I think Barker has slipped out of a transfer spot, and Mike Cranmer is now in the final spot in 8th.
Absolutely. Only 10 guys left running in this race. 8 will transfer out, so 2 guys will be going home. It's going to be a tight battle in that transfer position back there as we're watching Jack Clevenger in 6th place currently working the top side.
Yeah, we're looking at this group, and these drivers are all solidly in, and at this point, the battle between Mike Cranmer and Jeffrey Barker, that's for that last spot. And remember, Cranmer had some contact early on in this thing. There's a look at him, and he's just holding off Barker at the moment, coming to get 2 laps to go. And these guys are side by side, though. It might be a close battle between these two for the final transfer spot. Near contact off of turn 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Very close there, but Jeff Barker, as he was in that last heat race, is really, really working the bottom extremely well. So you see him able to make that pass fairly easy, like we would see Nick Vickery or Chapman do.
White flag is out, and we'll watch these guys a little bit. Donovan Ross comes by and will win this B main. Roger Craig in second. Ooh, they're wrecking at the line. We'll have to see how that affects the finishing order here. Roger Craig ends up second. Clevenger, I believe, yeah, he did finish third. We'll take a look at the results here. Clevenger did get third, Kemper 4th, Berger 5th, and Nick Schell 6th. Chris Schaefer 7th, and Jeffrey Barker ends up 8th.
Yeah, doing a great job, able to transfer in, run that bottom side there. Not making the race, unfortunately, tonight will be Mike Cranmer, Bob Curtis, Brennan Lacey, and Patrick Spengler.
Yeah, it actually ended up being almost a photo finish, but Barker cleared Cranmer on the last corner. But we are now warming up for the final feature of the night, and we're bringing John Hine back into the booth with us. And John, what do you think of the track conditions now that we've run a full slew of heat races on this track?
I think it's now's where the throttle control and everything is gonna matter big time. It's it's gonna be everybody for themselves up top. I think that's where it's gonna be, and I think you're gonna see people that don't make mistakes. They're the ones that are going to flourish tonight.
Hey, John, you talk about the top probably being the preferred way around in these cars tonight. So being the 410s and having the extra horsepower, how much do these cars actually tear up that track as that cushion continues to move up against the wall?
A lot. You're going to see them push it up here. We're going to push it up here really fast. In fact, I think by the time we get going, we're going to be right on that wall. And the last race took us a couple laps to get there.
Now, John, you're going to be starting in mid-pack here, but you do have 30 laps. It's the longest feature of the night. What's your aggression level going to be from the start?
I'm just going to try to miss what guys are doing. I'm seeing a lot of guys really struggling with controlling their cars and maintaining straight lines. So this is just going to be a lottery to get up through there. But we got a fast car. We're P5, and I haven't even busted off a good lap here.
It'll be interesting to watch John Hine as he tries to make his way through the field. We saw how unpredictable the 360 event was, and these drivers have not done a whole lot of racing in the 410s, at least in a competitive standpoint for this league recently. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. Got a few different drivers up towards the front, like our pole sitter will be Andy Patton, so that'll be interesting to see. But then again, more of the same drivers, JR, that we have seen in the past, like Nick Vickery, Blake Chapman. They're also up to the front, so we should probably expect them to be quick, as they always are.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like John said, a lot of guys are going to be running up top. That's one thing to watch for. If somebody makes a mistake, it could stack that outside line up, and somebody like a Blake Chapman that decides to run the bottom could really cash in on gaining a lot of spots there.
Here we go, your 24-car field for the 410s here for the C2C Hometown Heroes. Andy Patton is on pole with Nick Vickery starting next to him. Blake Chapman and Stephen Goldner will make up row 2. Dan McLaren and Randy Shreves are in row 3. Kyle Moonen and Jamie McCarran will be 7th and 8th. Barry Goldner is 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is Joe Canellis. John Hine will be 11th, and rounding out the top half of the field will be Bob Evertson.
Yeah, and starting in 13th place tonight will be Bob DeGood. 14th is Terry Landis. 15th is Brian Dickens. 16th will be Brandon Templeton. 17th is Donovan Ross. Alongside him at 18th is Roger Craig. Jack Clevenger is 19th tonight. Jeffrey Kemper 20th. 21st is Chris Berger. Nick Shell will be starting 22nd. And your last row on the grid will be 23rd Chris Schaefer and Jeff Barker starting in 24th for tonight's 410 A main event.
Now, JR, since just because this one's going to be the least predictable, who do you have as winning this race?
Guys like Blake Chapman and also you see Nick Vickery do it a lot, running that bottom. We don't know for sure how this race is going to play out. We know the top's going to be extremely fast. We know that top's going to get very bumpy, and a lot of guys are really going to be pushing the limits against that wall. If some issues happen against that outside wall and that outside lane, I think guys like Blake Chapman who are steering clear and staying on the bottom of the track could really have a big advantage here.
I really liked what I saw from Randy Shreves, and he's got a lot better track position in this event than he had in the 360s. He's starting P6. I'll be keeping my eye on him. But we have to keep our eyes on Andy Patton at the moment. He is going to control this 410 sprint car field into 3 and 4 to start this A main. The pace truck, Steve King Foundation pace truck, moves off of the racing surface. There we go, green flag. And it's a good jump by Nick Vickery on the top side, and we have an immediate caution.
Oh, big carnage going into turn 1 here, Kenny. About 3 cars upside down.
We had looked like John Hine got together with Bob Evertson. It looked like Bob was he was kind of sort of underneath the car in front of him, and the car right in front of him kind of like checked up, and it just accordioned everybody. It kind of shot Bob down into John, and this is the most packed the whole field is going to be is on the start, and that led to a huge accident.
Yeah, I absolutely did. So multiple guys possibly having their race ended there. We see a couple of those guys actually on pit road at the moment having the tow in.
Now, JR, one thing I noticed there was that some of the drivers in their lines respectively were kind of like staggered. They weren't necessarily following each other nose to tail. As a driver on a double file start like that, is that at all distracting to you?
Yeah, it is a little bit for sure. So it just it's not the normal that you're used to seeing, and it can throw you off a bit when you see something like that occur. But also in these 410s, these things have 900 horsepower, so when they put the throttle down, these cars are going to move around quite a bit side to side on the straightaway, and it's really hard to control. You get guys staggered in a way that you're not used to, and contact can be made because of that.
Looks like some drivers will have some black flags cleared here because of where the caution happened. It was right at the beginning, so there might be some issues with cars that hadn't crossed the start-finish line yet and all that fun stuff. But it looks like we have had the things sorted out, and now it's a single-file restart, just like the rest of the Hometown Heroes series. And Andy Patton has control here, and the green flag is out, and a good jump from Andy Patton. He flies down into turn one on the top side with Nick Vickery up at the top as well. And of course, Blake Chapman running his patented low line in third.
It'll be interesting to see if that continues to work, but you see as he did in the 360s, low through 1 and 2, high through 3 and 4. Behind him is Stephen Goldner trying to make up some time.
And a three-wide battle for the back portion of the top five. Randy Shreves, Dan McLaren, and Dan McLaren's flipping down the backstretch. He and Shreves got together, and I think it was Dan McLaren. Yeah, Dan McLaren clipped the outside wall and then just collected Randy Shreves. None of Randy's doing there, and that's going to have some heavy damage on both of those cars.
Yeah, that's one of the unique things about this track, that opening on the outside of turn 2 there onto the back straightaway, and the car just naturally wants to drift up coming out of that corner, and if you let it get too high, there's just absolutely no saving it. The front end's so light, you can't pull the car back down, and you saw Dan McLaren just getting into that opening and going for a tumble.
And that's one thing to note about these cars. We talk about how it's so difficult to react or make the car to react to make evasive actions, but in these 410s, these are about the fastest cars that you can run on dirt, period. Everything happens so quickly in these cars.
Extremely quickly. You have to have a lot of awareness on where you're at on the racetrack and where everybody is around you, and not just where they are around you, but where you think they're going to be in the next couple of seconds. You have to be able to anticipate what's going on before you get there. If you don't, there's just going to be no way that you can check up or avoid anything that happens.
Looks like Dan McLaren is actually disconnected, so he is out of this race. Unfortunate with how far up in the front he was running. But we're going to start on lap 4 here when we come around to take the green flag. Another single file restart coming up. Andy Patton's done a great job so far, but there hasn't really been enough time under green flag conditions for a challenge to be formulated by Nick Vickery and others in behind. And we also saw Chapman try that bottom line, but then immediately go up to the top in the next corner. So we'll see if he will keep trying that low line. But we come around turn 3 and 4. And we'll take the green flag once again. Andy Patton with a great restart, ripping around the top this time. He's going to make that work. Chapman does go down to the bottom looking for second place. He'll slot into third. The first side-by-side battle appears to be Kyle Moonen and Jamie McCarron for fifth.
You see Blake Chapman have to check up a little bit as he tries to get in line there in 3 and 4, back down to the bottom. If you watch him coming off of turn 2, he's running very low off of 2. There's a lot of grip down there to get a good run going down the back straight.
Might be kind of committed here as Stephen Goldner stuck his nose in there and filled that gap. Possibly 3 wide, and a little contact there with the leaders. And it looks like I think a caution came out for a separate incident, but in the process, the leader Patton has gotten spun as well.
Yeah, he did get spun, and unfortunately got collected there. His car looked like it was in good shape, but now his car's got a lot of front end damage, and I believe he's actually taking the tow back to pit road.
Here is the actual caution. What the cause of the caution was. Roger Craig, Donovan Ross were involved, just kind of a coming together off of turn 4. 2 drivers running vastly different lines and not giving enough room on the exit of the corner. And we talk about how Volusia narrows up on the exit of 4, and it's kind of a product of that.
Absolutely, that was one of our areas to watch at the beginning of the night. It always closes up hard on that exit. With these 410s, the kind of speed you're carrying, and with the groove that you're having to run, it just makes it that much more difficult.
Boy, and you got to feel for Andy Patton. You know, the caution was actually out when he got hit from behind, and that was caused by the contact between Vickery and Goldner. So, I mean, first off, you get spun, but for it to technically, I mean, for the caution to come out basically right when you're getting spun is just, that's a double hit.
Yeah, and we don't know exactly when the timing of that caution was, but if it was before that, he could have gotten his spot back just based on how the previous lap was. Unfortunately, he got a lot of damage there as he was trying to get turned around, so not able to continue.
So after all of that, again, Blake Chapman is the beneficiary of it, and this time he has a car that has a wing on the front of it, so Blake has got to be kind of in the catbird seat here. He enjoys controlling these races and might be trouble for the competition.
Yeah, it's definitely not good for sure. Not good at all when you have Chapman or Vickery up front. That's going to be a tough night if you're going to try to get ahead of those two.
Here we go for another restart, and Chapman gets on the gas and has a decent lead going into turn 1 and 2. Vickery did not have a very good entry to turn 1 there. Goldner all over his rear end, and Goldner showed some good speed on that short run before we had that caution. I'll be watching out for him.
Yeah, he's really trying to push the top a little bit higher than what the rest of these guys are already doing. We see Vickery take a little bit higher line, getting some momentum down the back straight, almost looking to the inside of Chapman, going back to the top.
Yeah, Vickery's looking really quick here. Chapman trusting that bottom. And, oh, man, I thought that Vickery was going to have a chance at another try for the lead there, but we have another caution. Looks like it's John Hine and Randy Shreves got together on the backstretch, and I think it was slightly a 3-wide situation with him, and also Roger Craig was on the bottom, and just not enough room for all three of them. And John Hine ends up being clipped and flipped into turn 3.
See, the cars actually stopped on track to let the pace truck catch back up to them. But yeah, if that had stayed green, we would have definitely have seen a side-by-side action up front for that lead spot. Vickery was definitely making a move, using that high line and carrying that momentum by Chapman.
Yeah, that was very interesting. Once we got these cars running, Vickery was looking very fast, and behind these guys, Jamie McCarron has settled into 4th. He's up from his 8th place starting spot, and Terry Landis up from 14th to 6th. That's up 8 spots. He's not quite the Gambler Motorsports hard charger at the moment. Right now, that would go to Jack Clevenger, who is up 10 spots, 19th to 9th. So some of these guys have been able to avoid the carnage.
Yep, definitely doing a great job there, moving up 10 positions already for Clevenger. So, yeah, you're seeing guys come and go. Definitely this race being a little bit different than what some of the heat races were earlier. And, of course, some guys having bad luck to start this race have changed that order up a little bit. But hopefully we'll get some green flag racing here. Got about 22 laps to go. If we can get a good run in here, we'll see what these guys can really do.
And Clevenger made up 8 spots just in his B main, so he does know how to pass some cars. But here we go, taking the green flag once again. Chapman a little bit slow on the start, but he's able to launch away and have a good run into turn 1. But however, Vickery ripping the top is going to have a huge amount of momentum down the backstretch into 3. Goldner following in tow, and those 3 have really built up a gap to the rest of the field quite quickly.
So they're starting to pull away, and you see Vickery really ripping the top here. Big run down the back stretch, getting to the outside of Chapman going into 3.
I think just like John Hine was telling us before this race started, that top line, the bottom's good for a little bit, but the top will come in. And Vickery doing a really good job up there, and I think he might be able to clear this time. He does. Look at that, a huge lead already.
Yeah, you can see him running right on the edge, even down the back straightaway. You got to put that right rear tire right up against the cushion. You see the car bouncing around, but if you do it perfectly, there is a ton of speed to be had there.
But look at Goldner now. He's going to follow suit into 2nd place, and he is very close to Vickery, but I think these guys running the same line. Eventually, Goldner's going to have to shoot it down to the bottom and try a slide job.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's waiting to clear Chapman at the moment, but once that happens, which should be now, I think you'll start to see him start to move around a little bit more.
And I am just amazed how quickly these guys have pulled away from the rest of the field. Jamie McCarron kind of all by himself in fourth. Side-by-side battle. We have another caution. There was a side-by-side battle between Terry Landis and Kyle Moonen. But those leaders were, they were just hauling the mail.
Absolutely, those guys pushing right on the edge right now as we're not even halfway in this race.
I believe the cause for caution was in turn 4. We're looking at Brian Dickens just kind of slides up in to that black and green car there. I think that was Brandon Templeton. And I think that might have been a case of Dickens just kind of maybe made a mistake or slightly lost control and just didn't have enough space to correct it and regather himself. There'll be another car sent to the pits too, Brian Dickens. So, JR, talk about how just in these cars, how kind of out of control you are, and how the racing's really close, but sometimes there's just more. You require more space to gather your car up than what you have.
Yeah, absolutely, and you have to stay on top of it. It's a very, very mental straining car to drive, just because you're having to pay attention to every little movement that the car is doing. As the track changes and slicks, gets more and more slick as the run goes on, you're right on the edge, and if you hit the corner wrong, you hit a slick spot wrong, the car will come around very quickly on you, and when it does, you're just kind of along for the ride there. There's not any quick movement that you can do to pull the car right back into place. So when it jumps sideways, you're just hanging on to it. You're trying not to hit the inside or outside walls, and while you're doing that, the car's kind of fishtailing basically the whole time until you get back to the next corner.
This will be the first restart that Nick Vickery will be controlling, and there he goes. And Vickery off to a really good start and running the same line as Stephen Goldner, and able to maintain his lead about 5 or so car lengths as all these guys up front running the top. We're looking at Chapman at the moment, who's now, I think he's been forced, his hand has been forced, he has to move to that top side now.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The bottom's probably gone at the moment. Could come back in late in the race here if the top starts to go away or get too bumpy. You actually see him push and Goldner into turn 1 there.
Yeah, it's when he's forced to run that top line, he certainly can do it. We're looking at looking at Stephen Goldner. Sorry about that, and we have another caution on track. I think this one was Jamie McCarron. He was running. No, it wasn't Jamie McCarron. He got up into the wall, but he was all right. We're looking on screen now. Brandon Templeton down at the bottom hits that inside wall. Maybe he got some damage there and just kind of stopped.
Yeah, I think he kind of got pulled in, kind of got stuck along the wall there, and it just forced the car to stop until you could get the front tires turned back up off the wall and moving again. So, that's another thing that can happen if you get these cars slow enough and you hit the inside or outside wall. It can grab a hold of you pretty good.
I did go back and look at the replay, and Jamie McCarron was running the top side, and he wasn't the cause of the caution, but he did hit the wall pretty good. Was able to obviously keep it straight, and I'd like to ask John Hine real quick. John, is it pretty normal to see cars actually kind of almost look like they're smacking the outside wall here?
Well, yeah, I've done it, especially going into one there. There's an indentation coming out. I've popped that thing. I've lost track how many times, both in this car and the 360. It's just we're further up along the wall than we're even in the 360s, and now it's really gnarly up over here in 3 and 4. So I think that might be part of it. I think these guys, when I'm getting in there, it almost does feel like I'm getting all 4 tires up off the track, ramping and whatnot. So that's probably what you're seeing.
Yeah, I was watching John there, and it was looked pretty bumpy down there in 3 and 4, so we'll keep an eye on that. Nick Vickery again leading the line of cars here. We'll restart. We'll be on lap 18. Remember, this is a 30-lap feature here. Only green flag laps will count. There we go. Nick Vickery on the gas pedal again, down into turn 1. He's done a really good job getting a good jump on these guys. Ahead of Goldner, Chapman, McCarron, and Kyle Moonen was the first driver trying to make the bottom one.
You see Chapman going right down to the bottom in 3 and 4. Not a place that worked in the 360s, but he's carrying good speed there as he's looking to the inside of Goldner, continuing to work the bottom through 1 and 2.
Yeah, he keeps trying it. And he has the space to try some stuff. These guys have really built up a decent gap back to the guys behind him, but I've been watching Kyle Moonen. He looks pretty quick. Oh, as McCarron behind has smacked into the wall. We don't have any caution as of now, but that's going to take McCarron out of a top 3 spot. He is, he's out of it. And now Kyle Moonen up into the top 3 as we do have a caution now. Oh, wow. It was actually Steven Goldner was actually the cause of the caution. I was looking at McCarron trying to find him in his recovery, and the second place driver Goldner smacks the outside wall, kind of got stuck there. Here's a look at McCarron. This is what I was watching. Kind of got up over the wall and got stuck. It's not the first time we've seen that tonight.
Yeah, you can see we've kind of got a motocross jump going into turn 1. If you hit that thing right, you're just going to go up and over the wall, and your night is going to be done for sure unless you are able to bounce back into the track somehow and avoid contact from the oncoming cars.
Yeah, I've parked it for the night, but if you guys can, look at where the cushion is, right below the drying in 3 and 4. The cushion is actually higher than the wall. I just climbed it, got all the way up onto the top of that and got stuck up in that fence. So that's another hurdle these guys have to deal with now.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen guys that haven't made any mistakes tonight make mistakes. Steven Goldner looked poised to be a possible winning car, and now he's lost his track position. And I'm actually seeing Kyle Moonen was off of his wheels on the back stretch. I'm not sure what that was all about, but he might have lost off his position too. So we'll have to see when we go green here what the running order is like. But this is odd. These drivers are really facing some tough track conditions.
Yeah, they absolutely are. It's going to be a little bit of a survival mode, I think. Just try not to make any mistake and get too high. If you do, like John said, you're just going to go right up over the wall. You can see that cushion and how high it is through 3 and 4.
Here we go, green again. It's going to be 10 laps to go. Nicholas Vickery in the lead still, and now Blake Chapman back into the second spot. But now he's got Jack Clevenger. Remember, we mentioned him earlier. Started 19th place, and he's driving down to try to take second away from Chapman. He's not going for the slide job line. He's trying to just run the bottom. And will he slide up now? He is clear. Impressive work done by Jack Clevenger.
Absolutely moving forward, not doing anything crazy to get that spot over Chapman, and he's continued to work the middle of the track here, so maybe he's found a little bit of speed.
Bob DeGood having a good run in 4th place as well. So, but these leaders with that battle for second place has really allowed Nick Vickery to build up a large gap. Vickery looks totally in control at this point in the lead.
Yeah, he absolutely does. Almost a 1.5 second lead right now, but looks like Clevenger's starting to close that up a bit.
He could be here. We're coming to get 6 laps to go. Another car, that was Kyle Moonen going to the pits. We stay green here, but some decent battling going on behind Chapman as well. You got DeGood, Shreves, Landis going at it for the back portion of the top 5. Good runs for these guys. Landis started outside the top 10, as did Bob DeGood.
Yep, and you can see how tricky that bottom is right there from a Bob DeGood standpoint, getting loose up off the corner. Here we have a race for second place. Chapman actually taking second place back over at the moment from Clevenger, but they're continuing to race side by side.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising. Clevenger really seemed to have some momentum going for him, but unable to really cut into Vickery's lead as we got 3 laps to go. And Clevenger does fight off Chapman, and now all of a sudden Randy Shreves has popped in the picture. You see him at the back in the background there, and he's looked very fast recently, and that's a little closer behind them between DeGood, Landis, and now Steven Goldner trying to recover after his wreck, but only 2 laps to go.
Yep. Continue to watch Clevenger down the backstretch in second place. He's holding off Chapman at the moment. Shreve's continuing to close up on those two guys running in second and third. White flag is in the air.
Yeah, final lap to go here. Nicholas Vickery, once he got to the lead, he has been dominant. He dealt with all the restarts, but this final little run here, he has dominated and wins the 410 sprint feature here for the C2C Hometown Heroes. Jack Clevenger ends up second from 19th on the grid. A fantastic run for him. And rounding out the top three, Blake Chapman, he at least gets podiums for all races tonight, so a good run for him. And rounding out the top five is going to be Randy Shreves and Stephen Goldner. Really good recovery for him considering he wrecked in turn 3 pretty late on in the race. Sixth place goes to Bob DeGood. 17th, Terry Landis. 7th, Terry Landis. 8th is Jeffrey Barker. And Roger Craig will be in 9th. 10th will be Chris Schaefer. 11th will be Chris Berger. And 12th will be Joe Canellis.
Yeah, coming home in 13th tonight is Barry Goldner. 14th, Andy Patton, having that early lead from the pole tonight, doing a great run until some early contact. Jeffrey Kemper, 15th. Brandon Templeton in 16th. Kyle Moon in 17th. Jamie McCarron comes home in 18th after having a nice run late in this race. 19th position will go to John Hine tonight. 20th, Bob Evertson. 21st, Brian Dickens. 22nd is Nick Shell. Donovan Ross comes home in 23rd, and rounding out your field in 24th place tonight is Dan McLaren for the A main event in the 410 sprints.
We'll bring in our victorious driver here in Coolray Victory Lane. It's Nicholas Vickery. Nick, it really looked like once all you really needed was to have control of the field, and once you had that, you pretty much set sail.
Yeah, I definitely don't think I was the fastest car there first half of the race, but I think I found a line there at the end of the race. That slider line in 3 and 4 was really, really fast. My spotter kept telling me that we were setting the pace, and unless I'm mistaken, that means that I'm the fastest car on the track at that moment. So, the top was extremely brutal in 3 and 4, and there was a couple times that I got pretty out of shape in front of Goldner. And I definitely think Goldner was the fastest. Like I said, he was not. He was putting the pressure on me there, running the top, making sure that I didn't make any mistakes. And once we crossed halfway and I found that slider line, I think it would have been a good race had we not had the mix-ups that we had there in the middle.
Yeah, there at the end where you may be thinking of, like when you're charging towards the end of the race, are you kind of battling in your mind of going after the speed versus kind of backing off just a hair in order to not make any mistakes?
Well, there towards the end of the race, Lance Ripka, he was watching the broadcast from I think he's still in a hotel room, but he was letting me know, hey, you got plenty of space, and I was checking my relative and stuff too, and honestly, there at the end of the race, I was just hoping to see the white flag. I felt like once I got the white flag there, I wasn't going to make a mistake there on the last lap, and as long as I didn't get a caution, I think that I felt like I had the race pretty well locked down with the space I had. But if a caution had come out, it would have threw a wrench and everything. So I was honestly more excited to pass the flag man with the white flag than I was a checker.
And you started second, but you did have your fair share of battles out there. What was it like trying to make passes happen in these 410s compared to the 360s and the 305s?
Yeah, I got lucky, I think, battling with Chapman because, obviously we've talked about it all night. Chapman likes to run the bottom, and, I think the bottom just went away really fast with these cars just because they move so much dirt. And I'm not sure what he did there at the end of the race, but I know there, first half of the race, he was definitely the fastest car on the bottom. But just my driving style, I know that I'm not good on the bottom, and I prefer the top. And honestly, my game plan first half of the race was just to keep it out of the wall.
They did a good job of that and brought it home in victory lane. Who would you like to thank for this victory tonight?
Definitely got to thank Spartan Racing. Like I said, Lance was in a hotel room, not even at his computer, watching the broadcast, trying to give me pointers and let me know where everybody was at. After that would be SBGC 3D Printing. If anybody there has any 3D printing needs, definitely go check out Tom Taylor over on Facebook. After that would be VMR Wraps. If anybody there needs a wrap, come check us out on Facebook at VMR eWraps. Mirror Image Auto Spa, my wife for letting me do this, Roger and Preston for keeping it all together, and then of course you guys for continuing to put on a great show.
That was our victorious driver, Nicholas Vickery. Thanks for talking with us, Nick.
Thanks, guys.
And it looks like J.R. Shepard is caught up with our second place driver, Jack Clevenger.
I have, Jack. Congratulations on a second place run tonight, starting 19th in this A-Main event. Talk us through your race and how you were able to just pick your way through the field.
Well, there's quite a few crashes that helped out in my my venture there, but it was pretty fun picking my way through, kind of, pretty good racing there in mid-pack, and just got lucky with some guys crashing out.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of things happening through this race with accidents and allowing you to get some track position, but obviously tons and tons of speed. Were you surprised any at all by the track conditions that these 410s produced? We saw the groove in turns 3 and 4 actually be all the way up against the wall there.
No, these guys ran the 410 division a couple years ago, and a lot the same then. It gets real slick with the 410s, and just I enjoy them more than the 360s. You got the power to get yourself out of trouble and also get yourself in trouble quicker.
Absolutely. We've talked throughout the broadcast about how easy it is to lose time in these cars, but also how easy it is to gain time on somebody based on how you're controlling your car versus them. Are you looking forward to running these cars next season?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the 410s, and sometimes it's you're chasing that rabbit out there, and you got to remind yourself to slow down a little bit to go faster sometimes, and it's hard to your intuition is just go, but got to be like Donnie Schatz and run the middle sometimes is easy on the throttle.
Absolutely. We saw you do that, and nobody else was really doing that at the time you were, so very impressive for sure to see you have some patience and run the line that you need to run to get the most speed there. But again, man, congratulations on that second place run. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for tonight's run?
I just thank all the guys at SRC and Coast to Coast for the League to Racing, and you guys for the broadcast.
Hey, we appreciate it, man. Again, congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
That was Jack Clevenger, our second place finisher tonight, and I believe Kenny has now caught up with Blake Chapman, our third place finisher.
Yeah, we're down here with Blake Chapman, and Blake, not quite enough for another feature win tonight. What do you think you needed in order to get 2 spots better?
I think I ran out of talent there towards the end. I drained me running those 305s and 360s, but I certainly had a lot of fun, and I think the car got away from me there towards the end. It was a little loose, but I tried to run the bottom, and that really went away, and still kept trying it. But Vickery was top up there on the it was really really fast up top, excuse me. And I knew I wouldn't be able to catch him all the way around there if I was running the same line he was. So I tried something on the bottom, it didn't work, but I'll take a podium.
We did see, Jack Clevenger came flying through the field there, and he passed you, but then, you ran back to your bottom line and actually started fighting him again. It was almost looked like kind of a second wind.
Yeah, I think the bottom was pretty quick in 3 and 4 if I could hit it right, but I would have to hit it perfectly in 1 and 2, and it still wasn't really that fast. So I knew once I was trapped down there underneath of him, I didn't really have much of a chance.
Are you looking forward to running these 410s? You've proven you've been very fast in the 305s and in the 360s, but what about these for next season?
Oh yeah, definitely, especially if we're on a sprint car track like maybe Knoxville or a track like that. I think these could be a lot of fun if you get a group of guys that know throttle control and can control these things. It can be a lot of fun and make for a lot of good racing.
That was a good, consistent run for you tonight. Started third and finished third. Anybody you'd like to thank for that run tonight?
Yeah, parents, grandparents, sisters, Steve Bixler, everybody who watches and supports. We got to thank Kyle Moonen in this race for tipping me back over off of my lid. That was really nice of him. I got to thank my team, Can-Am Racing Team, Crate Sim Racing, Galen's Popcorn. If you use code CART, that's CART at checkout, you get 15% off any purchase. And I got to thank you guys for putting this on. I know we had a rough couple of races tonight, and really appreciate you guys doing this for us.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Blake, and good luck in the next season.
Thank you.
That was Blake Chapman, our third place driver, and I think that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. But be sure and check out the Coast to Coast Racing Network on YouTube and click subscribe to catch all of the Coast to Coast Racing League action. Join them for Monday Night Madness from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern as Marty Zakala and the SJRN showcase all the Rebels and Renegades action. Tune in on Tuesday nights as Icon TV brings you Topless Tuesday. On Wednesdays from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, it's the Icon Sim Sports Hometown Heroes. Each week will be at a different track in a few weeks' time. And hang out with Extreme Esports TV for Thursday Night Thunder, featuring the Dirt Modifieds and King of Dirt series from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern. Icon TV returns on Fridays with Icon Sim Sports Friday Night Lights, bringing you street stocks, limited late models, and finishing with 360 sprints. The next VGN broadcast, that's going to be the BRL Dirt Street Stock Series Friday at 7:10 p.m. Eastern, live from Lanier. This has been a production of Coast to Coast Racing Network and Virtual Grip Network. I'm Kenny Kibbe along with J.R. Shepard and Mike Yao in the booth. We'll see you later.